Test, test. Yep, you're on.
Yeah, I got Chanel.
Flip up.
Yep, I got it.
If you put it under, really way under, like put the mask way under.
Okay,
Thank you.
Lori, can you hear us on the microphone? Janelle, am I coming across? Can you guys hear me?
Yes.
Not very well. These are new, so apologize.
Testing 1 2. Testing 1 2.
Testing
we're
1 2.
good.
Okay. Chief, he wants to grab the last handful of comment cards right there and bring them in, and then announce to everybody it's over. Tell him we'll give him 2 more minutes for comment cards. There's so many people here. All right. So, just enough time for you to go collect those.
We have 250 outside.
No, if they don't have comment. We're just trying to give everybody a chance to say what they need to say and voice their. Okay, 250. Okay. Or 300. That's good. We're just waiting momentarily for the last of the comment cards. that. Also, before we get started, I want to let you know, the comment cards that are being filled out right now are for this item. There's still the public comment period at the end of the meeting after the full agenda. So if you're here for this or you're here for another item, don't feel you have to do it now. So. Were there any takers out there?
I just brought one more in.
Gotcha. Like we were. Gotcha. Yes. We done it 2 minutes yet? You're gonna do the pledge. I'll announce it. Right out here, Mike. When you do it. Blue lights. Oh my God. Oh, Mike.
Yeah. Right, because
Call this meeting of July 27th, 2020 to order. We're going to do the Pledge of Allegiance with the Police Chief Mike Salvador, invocation by Papi Ferrez.
Ready? Salute.
Please remain standing for the prayer. Welcome, Papi.
Heavenly Father, we come before you today in the name of your Son, Jesus. And God, we incite your wisdom tonight in this place. Father, I ask that you would just supernaturally touch each of the council members, Lord God, the decision makers and the leaders in this place tonight. Father, I thank you that your word says that if we seek you first, your kingdom and your righteousness, that all things will be added unto us. And so tonight, Lord, we just thank you that your hand is never too short. We thank you that your ear is always turned towards us, God. And I thank you that tonight, Father God, we know that we are under your hand of protection and your hand of guidance and your hand of provision. Lord, I just pray right now that you would restore anything that is being taken away, Lord God. We thank you right now that we don't have to look to man for finances. We look to you, God, and we just thank you that you're going to rain down in such a way, Father God, because of the righteousness, because of the justice that this council stands for. And I just thank you right now, Lord God, that you have appointed, Father, for us to be in unity. You've appointed for us to be and act in love. And so I thank you for the decisions that are made here. Father, the decisions that say to the city of Atwater that every one of us is essential and every one of our businesses are essential. And so I just thank you for what you're going to do. Move supernaturally in this place and in this community. And we thank you for those things in Jesus' name. Amen.
Roll call?
Ambrose,
Here.
Kale,
Here.
Raymond,
Here.
Viera. Here. Creighton.
Here.
We have a quorum.
Approval of agenda as amended or posted.
You okay?
Motion to approve the agenda is posted.
I'll second.
Motion by Raymond, second by Ambrose.
Ambrose,
Yes.
Viera. Yes. Raymond,
Yes.
Kale,
Yes.
Creighton.
Yes.
Motion passes.
Presentations. Monthly verbal report by Merced County District Supervisor McDaniel.
Thank you, Mayor, Council. I think the issues today are a little more pressing, so I'll keep this very short. I want to give an update on Campus Parkway Segment 3. This does show an interest at Atwater. You might not see it right on face value, but approximately 30% is complete, just over 40% to move forward. This is the portion that will take us from the current end near Highway 40 to Yosemite Avenue. Currently working on the bridge on South Bear Creek. Phase 1B AME is our next priority. Now you can see, as soon as we get this done, we can move forward. CTC did grant us the funding. The California Transportation Committee did vote unanimously for the funding for AME. The Navigation Center, currently under construction, estimated opening is late 2020. It will be, it's approximately October, end of October, we're looking at having that ready. Also want to remind you for the census, I think you guys might have a presentation, but 2020 census.gov, due to coronavirus, the U.S. Census Bureau has extended the deadline completing the census until October 31st. Participating is critically important to the city and the county so we get our fair share of funding, as well as it looks like we have 2 congressmen. We could lose 2 congressional seats if we don't participate. Are there any questions?
Thank you, Supervisor McDaniel. Mayoral statement. At this time, we're going to open this item up to the public. Do we have any speaker cards or emails?
Yes, Mayor, we do have emails to read into the record. Would you like me to go ahead and read those emails into the record right now, Mayor?
Well, yes, I'd like to do all the emails first, and then we'll open up the speaker cards and go from there.
Okay.
How many do you have for emails?
I have 29.
Okay.
To the Atwater City Council, stop putting profit over people. Stop playing political with people's lives. End your dangerous sanctuary city for business resolution. Anne Marie Ruiz, Hampton. Hello, my name is Karen Taylor, and I just want to say that I love the fact that Atwater, in here, we can exercise our fundamental right to have church. Thanks for all you do for us. Dear City Council members, please protect the people of this community and rescind the sanctuary business resolution. Please put your people over profit. Take further action to protect us. Our people need this emergency funding. We need to see that you care about us. Thank you, Sarah Johnson. Good afternoon. I want to emphasize that we want to remain a sanctuary city in Atwater and really appreciate the freedom of worship together in our church at Landmark Tabernacle. Please remain a sanctuary city. Resident, Miralez family, Glen Eagle Street. To the members of the Atwater City Council, stop playing politics with people's lives. Your dangerous, misguided sanctuary city for business resolution is hurting this community financially and physically. The city of Atwater is losing critical COVID-19 funding because the elected members of the council want to pursue a pet politic project and splash their names across news interviews. You have claimed that you care about small business owners, but mayor's own admission due to enforcement actions by the state, most businesses have not been authorized to reopen or wise staying shut. A resolution that is a mere political game. Only members of the council committed to an agenda that puts lives of workers and patrons at risk, which costs the city critical funding at a time of dire emergency. Hundreds of fellow Atwater residents agree, and I have included a link to our petition in this email. Stay or rescind your deadly resolution and save lives. Caleb Hampton. Hello, my name is Leslie and I live in Modesto. I just wanted to let you know how impressed and grateful I am to know that there are city officials like you that are taking a stand against Governor Newsom's tyrannical order and threats. I am doing my own part to not comply and further facilitate his agenda, and I hope you continue the good fight as well. My family and I will happily take the trip to Atwater and support the small businesses that are as a way to offer some support. Great job and thank you. Hello, I'm Ulysses Sobrano, and I believe that people should not put over profit 100% of the time, especially the Black and brown community. I'm a person of color who is also an essential worker. Please rescind your sanctuary policy because people are the reason for your profits. Atwater City Council. My name is Kelly Schilling, and I am emailing to state as a resident and business owner of Atwater for over 30 years. I would like to support keeping Atwater a sanctuary city. I would also like to say thank you to the Atwater Mayor and City Council for supporting Sanctuary City. I'm writing in support of the most recent petition started by Caleb Hampton. Along with members of my family, signed the last one as well, in disagreement with the Mayor and Council's decision to make Atwater a business sanctuary city. This not only allowed businesses to reopen, but to reopen without guidelines or enforcement, out of health and safety for our citizens. This has made it difficult for residents, including when we go to the store and wear a mask. I have to deal with people who won't. Some people are more risk, and we should be courteous enough to consider others when we go to the grocery store. Do you realize your decision has made it difficult for many businesses to enforce masks? They are trying to protect their essential workers all day. As you can see, Merced County has exploded with COVID-19 cases. The hospital has been at near full and full capacity, and we have had many more deaths. Nurses are being overworked through the valley, even 24-hour shifts. Mr. Mayor, how would you like to do with that? We were supposed to consider our healthcare system so we didn't overburden them. Your decision to make this political and go in defiance in the state order of the governor not only kept money from the city, but put many lives in danger. You even justified reopening by stating that Atwater probably wouldn't get COVID assistance money anyways, so who really hurt the community? Please rescind your order and don't let politics, pride, or greed continue to stand in the way of serving and helping protect our community. Wearing a mask, social distancing, and not shaking hands at this time when you have meetings or out in the community would be a good start and leading by example. Can you give it a chance to see if we can slow this down? Stacy Martinez. As you are probably aware, Atwater has the second highest COVID-19 rate in Merced County. As a concerned senior citizen and one who is at risk, I am in favor of rescinding the sanctuary city status as soon as possible and taking any funds that are offered by the state of California to assist us in our fight against the virus. And as much as the city has suffered from budget shortfalls in the past, I do not really see how you, as our city leaders, can pass up the opportunity to protect our citizens and gain the support that over $300,000 would give to our city. We have been residents of Atwater since 1974 and truly love our community. We will be unable to attend your meeting this evening because of the virus concerns. Please give your serious considerations. Sincerely, Carl and Jackie Blevins, Wathen Street. I am normally not a person to get too involved in politics, but I feel that I must make my presence known regarding the matter of our town. The decision to make Atwater a sanctuary city was a knee-jerk reaction to the governor's ordinance on making all towns shelter in place and to close businesses down until there was some sense of knowing the virus was going to act upon the public. I do know that at the time, perhaps doing sanctuary seemed to be like a good idea, but sadly, this has not happened as we have seen recent numbers of people getting infected. Because we have opened our town, thus seen a significant rise of those infected with the virus. I think now is the time to put aside differences and do what is best for our community as a whole. And as of right now, having a sanctuary city is not the right option for the time being. When a person takes an oath to do what is right constituents of his town, then you have to put aside your personal ideology and do what is right for the whole. Then saying it takes a village applies not only to rising of children, but keeping our community safe. Together we can work to flatten the curve, but this will only happen if we look at what the state is trying to do and keep the citizens free from the virus, nothing more, nothing less. I implore you to do what is right for the sake of the community, to see what they need to help to keep us all afloat, to give our businesses the help that they need to come back stronger. I hope you will listen to the local citizens here. Thank you for your time and consideration of this email, and I hope that we can all make it through together as one. Kelly Flores. To whom it may concern, I am a 20-year-old Merced College graduate that's been living in Atwater for my whole life. It's concerning when I am not seeing the correct choice of action being made, especially at times like this. On behalf of me and many Atwater citizens, we need our officials to care for us. We are losing emergency funding that is so valuable for the family. We are in a pandemic, for crying out loud. The Atwater City Council needs to act for the people and rescind the sanctuary business resolution and put the people, we the people, over profit. Thank you, and I hope my concern is taken into serious matters and considerations. Hello, the council members need to drop their personal political agendas and act in the best interest of the health of their community. Many businesses that are allowed to be open are closed because of fear of repercussions, which makes the resolution appear to be a political ploy and is costing the city money. We need to follow state and local health guidelines in regards to the business operations. Thanks for your time, Megan. My name is Des Marie Jackson, and I'm a lifetime resident of Atwater, California. Since my return home, I've been absolutely appalled at the way our officials have handled the response to COVID-19. Despite being a small community with low numbers in March and April, the rate of spread, lack of access to adequate healthcare and testing services, and general attitude that COVID-19 is a hoax or just the flu has proved detrimental to our communities. Our numbers, both within Atwater and throughout Merced County, continue to rise at alarming rates and is only bound to get worse in time. This shows that how the Public Health Department has ordered the reclosing of many recently opened establishments and proves our inability to both financially and structurally to reopen in any way that is truly safe, keeping those most vulnerable in our communities at the forefront. Considering the large populations of low-income, working-class families without access to government aid in Atwater and Winton particularly, and others heavily impacted by COVID-19, we can neither afford to lose any government funding we have the opportunity to receive, nor can we pretend we have the adequate infrastructure to ensure that all families and communities, especially Black, Indigenous, Latino, Hmong, and other POC, are supported in and through this pandemic and devastating aftermath to come. I wish you all the health and peace. Des Marie. My name is Danielle Hull, and I'm the owner of a personal training studio, Fitness Addiction, located at 154 Broadway in Atwater. My training studio suffered through 8 weeks of closure due to the initial shelter-in-place order issued by our governor. The government told us to stay home, and we obeyed, and then they told us we could reopen without precautions, and we obeyed. My facility has implemented rigorous cleaning procedures and stringent social distancing protocols. We have had 3 members that contracted COVID-19 while in other places, but we have had 0 transmission rate to other members. What this tells us is that by utilizing good hygiene and common sense, we can operate safely. Gyms should be deemed an essential business. The business of keeping people well and healthy is more important now than ever. My members are pleading that Fitness Addiction remain open as their sanctuary and possibly only opportunity to release stress and feel some semblance of a normal life in our current situation. I would like to take this opportunity to thank the mayor and city council members for taking a stand for the good people of our city, for the members of Fitness Addiction, and for my family. Thank you for keeping my dream alive and continuing to help others improve their lives. Yours in health and fitness, Daniel Hull. I used to be proud of my city. My mother-in-law has cancer. My mother is 1 year into recovery from cancer. My uncle passed away from COVID a month ago. Never thought it would have happened to us, but it did. And now my other uncle has a wife in San Francisco struggling to survive because they have COVID. Brianne Sandoval. My name is Hannah Correa, and I'm a current resident of Atwater. I'm emailing in regards to the state not sending emergency funding to Atwater because the city council declared us a sanctuary city. I want to start off by saying that declaring us a business sanctuary city, you're putting profit over safety and well-being of residents. You have people who are compromised but still need to show up for work, risking their life because you want them to stay open and save the economy. When measures aren't put in mandating residents to wear masks out in public, you're risking the lives of people who are compromised. The Merced Sheriff was included in LA Times for his poor decision, not enforcing masks or other regulations to contain the virus, and now look at us, back to square one. None of the moves you're making are groundbreaking, they're embarrassing. I also want to add, with the surge of cases, who is supporting the people who have contracted the virus while not having health insurance? This could have been avoided. Not everyone has a health insurance like you or me, or they are put at a complete disadvantage. By not putting stricter regulations to stop the spread of the virus and getting rid of the business sanctuary city put in place, you are putting low-income families, compromised individuals, children, and employees at risk. You are not considering everyone in your community. If this is something you disagree with, then I don't think a city council member is a position you should be in. I want people in power who actually care about its residents. Mayor, if you think President Trump being on Atwater's side is a good thing, you are listening to what he's been saying. Sincerely, Hannah Carrillo. Thank you, Atwater City Council, for looking after the residents and citizens of Atwater. It seems like that the government does not like what you have followed in his footsteps, and good example as he made California a sanctuary state. The money that he is withholding is not from the state, but from the federal government, and is not his to withhold. What needs to happen is petition the president to directly deliver the federal funds to the city of Atwater. Until a conversation occurs with the federal government, no decision should be made to rescind our sanctuary status. Presently, the governor is not following any laws and has not distributed money in the last 5 months, so why would we trust him to do so now? The citizens of Atwater are quite capable of deciding how they want to maintain safety for themselves and their families. There's not enough consistent evidence to shut down our city due to COVID. Yes, the positive rates are up, but so are the negative. We're using probable as positive, and that is not factual. We are not given the facts of those are dying due to HIPAA constraints. We know that reason for death is very subjective, should be measured to shut down businesses. Also, we can look to ways to manage the sick by opening Castle Hospital if needed. Hopefully, we will look at the beginning of COVID and remember that we shut down. Very few people died, and hospitals and other medical facilities were on the brink of financial distress. Some businesses had to close, and many have lost their jobs. Other families, thank you for your service and hard work. Thank you for your time, Rhonda Jenkins. Esteemed council members, greetings. I am writing to ask you to undo the sanctuary business resolution. In this unprecedented time dealing with global pandemic, we need to put the citizens' lives of our community first. I trust that you will do the right thing. We are nothing without our fellow citizens. Sincerely, Chris Aledo. This moment is the most vital to rescind the sanctuary business resolution. Our community losing emergency funding during a pandemic will be devastating to the citizens of Atwater. Cases have only increased and will continue to increase with how things are currently running. Right now, there are two choices. The people of Atwater are profit. Rescind the sanctuary business resolution and put the people first. Dear Atwater City Council, my name is Angelina and I'm a resident of Atwater. As a local community member, COVID-19 continues to negatively endanger those at risk. Atwater as a sanctuary city puts our community at risk. The city is losing emergency funding because people made decisions that reflect profit over people. Does Atwater care for us? We need Atwater City Council to act now and rescind sanctuary business resolution and put people over profit. Sincerely, Angelina. Hello, City Council. I've never been so ashamed to call Atwater my home, and it is borderline negligent to continue with this so-called sanctuary city nonsense. Aside from being an absolute slap in the face to the migrant community in this town, which is the real backbone of agriculture in the valley, is putting our community at risk. This town doesn't even have a hospital to deal with COVID-19, and Mercy is nearly at capacity and does not have the resources for the 22,972 cases in the county. People's lives are absolutely more important than the economy, and it is becoming quite apparent that our elected do not share the sentiment. Instead of Governor Newsom resigning, Paul Creighton should resign for his negligent actions that have been put at risk. With regards, Diana Olmos. Hello, City Council members. My name is Emily Hunez. I come here today as a resident of District 1 to address my concerns over the current pandemic and how you all have dealt with that. I would like to address several issues that concern the community, but today I would want to discuss rescinding the sanctuary business resolution. You all have decided to put profit over the lives and well-being of the own citizens. It is disgraceful to see such action taken by the so-called leaders of this community. Quoting the mayor, they have no solution, they have no clue what the hell they are doing as far as this pandemic. Now I want to ask you, do you have a solution? Do you thoroughly understand the implications of becoming ill with COVID-19? You just put the economy over the lives of our own constituents. Way to go. Regardless of your own beliefs and whether or not you know someone with COVID-19, we all need to realize this is very real. Keeping businesses open is absolutely arbitrary. Great leadership. Your comments in the Merced Star article are quite concerning. Our town has become a joke over social media. Thank you for that. Lastly, I would like to reiterate the fact that the sanctuary resolution needs to be rescinded. Like you said, Mayor, the governor has failed miserably, and so have you all. Thank you and have a blessed night. Good afternoon, Mayor and Atwater City Council members. I feel compelled to write you regarding Atwater not receiving COVID relief funds due to the resolution. On May 15, when you held a special meeting to vote Atwater as sanctuary city, I was not in agreement with it. There may have been a crowd in attendance clapping and cheering your decision, but that did not reflect the feelings of all the residents. Instead of digging your heels in to defy the state governor, I suggest that you work with him and other local agencies to come up with a plan to support local small businesses while keeping residents safe. There is no right decision here. It will be trial and error, and if you make an error, let's try something else. And I'm hearing from the board, the televised board meetings, of reading quotes in the newspaper, his attitude of stubborn, temperamental child that is not following rules. You must come up with a plan, action. You have to try. You have to show the leadership we've elected you to. Leadership needs to be reflected what is the best for the city of Atwater and its residents. Atwater is losing revenue due to the virus. However, we can change our course and hopefully get this COVID relief funds back. Realize how much or how little funds, any amount, is money we currently do not have. I hope you will follow the guidelines provided by the state and our local public health department and expand upon them to provide clear guidance to the businesses and residents of Atwater. Please rescind the resolution that declared Atwater sanctuary city so we can get access to COVID relief funds. A very concerned essential worker, Renee Smith. I see a lack of social distancing at businesses in Atwater. I know of people who have died and are currently extremely sick, hospitalized, and suffering. This virus is no joke. It isn't a national emergency for no reason. This country went through a pandemic during a time when most households lacked access to transportation, access to information, radio, and when schools closed down, there was no access to education whatsoever. Now most households have access to transportation, TVs, radios, cell phones, landlines, electricity, and internet. Education occurred within 3 weeks of schools. Closing had occurred during these summer months and will occur via distance learning. This isn't the best, but it's better than 102 years ago when there was nothing. As I previously stated, there are plenty of businesses currently operating in the city of Atwater that are not adhering to social distancing. When the state decided to put our county in phase 3 and 4 and our local establishments open, you all as a council decided not to provide them with the assurance that it stood behind our state government to protect the citizens of Atwater with the expectation that they follow recommendations, guidance, regulations. You all made this political instead of having compassion in your hearts, and now some of your constituents have died. Some of your constituents have fallen gravely ill. Some of your constituents are currently hospitalized and suffering. Shame on you all. Each and every one of you took your political and religious beliefs and thrusted them biased and arrogantly into the entire city. You chose some over everyone. And our mayor states that there has been no opposition. How dare he lie? Caleb was one of the opposed to your faces. There were plenty of comments and plenty of us citizens living in Atwater that opposed your sanctuary political crap show. 5 minutes of fame was worth it, even if every single one of you is replaced. I take this stand in memory of my dear friends that have passed from COVID. Dear friends that have family that have passed from COVID. Dear friends that are currently suffering from COVID. Dear friends that have family currently in the hospital fighting for their lives. Change your stance. Get that funding to people that need it. Admit how wrong you are all, standing proud in admittance, or maybe you will once this virus takes one of your loved ones. I don't wish this in the least. I pray each of you develops compassion for others, that you want to protect all because this is what true leaders do. Renee. My name is Stacy Leal. My family and I have been citizens of Atwater since my grandfather was stationed here at Castle Air Force Base. I am writing you to the concerns of our town in relation to the pandemic that our society is now going through and actions of our city during this time. First and foremost, I want to say to you, Mr. Mayor, I was a strong supporter during your campaign and encouraged many people to vote for you. I've been disappointed in our previous mayor, who was clearly one-sided in his opinions and allowed his personal agenda to run our city. I had high hopes that you would be a mayor for the people of our town and not just another politician wanted to drive his own ideas. Your actions are of late are proving otherwise. I'm asking you to please stand back for a moment, see the bigger picture, and be our town mayor and not our town partisan. While I'm in full support of opening our town back up, I am pleading for you to consider the following. The City of Atwater developed guidelines for our businesses to operate safely in concert with medical professionals. The guidelines show in line the total health order issued by Merced County's Public Health Department, limit the number of people who can enter the facility, maintaining a minimum of 6 foot distance from another, require employees to wear face coverings and use other protective barriers where 6 feet of distance is not easily maintained. Lines form at facility of jobs, provide hand sanitizer, contactless payment systems, regularly disinfect, post a sign at the entrance, assign safety officers, City of Atwater appoint a public health liaison, make regular contact with the businesses, regularly communicate with the people of Atwater to that progress of Atwater businesses towards compliance. Strongly recommend that the people of Atwater continue to follow these guidelines, maintain at least 6 foot social distancing from others not from the same household, wash hands with soap and water for at least 20 seconds, frequently as possible, and use hand sanitizer, cover coughs and sneezes into the sleeve or face, regularly clean high-touch surfaces. All of these are stated in the online petition that has been sent to you previously. I firmly believe that we are all in this together as a teacher in county. I am heartbroken that we will not be able to go back to a regular school setting. I want our town to come together, do what we need to stop the spread. We can't do this without your support. Please reconsider your position regarding the business sanctuary city and follow the governor's guidelines. Sincerely concerned citizen, Stacy Leal. My name is Jose Christian, I'm sorry, I can't pronounce this, Camerlinga. I currently reside in Winton, but have lived in Atwater for 8 years and continue to work in Atwater to this day. I'm contacting whoever may read this in an effort to voice my concerns. that has been declared and implemented in Atwater and what should be done in advance. This act has opened business at the risk of both consumers and workers alike in the effort to maintain functionality in the city, while it's plausible to do so given the manner in which our country operates under capitalistic principles. It has not been done with the labor force in mind. These workers have been placed in a situation where they must choose between their health or monetary gain, most of the time without any additional increase in their hourly wages or offered health coverage in the case of contraction of COVID-19. This situation is further exacerbated by the physical influx of consumers into these businesses. The volume of consumers within these establishments, the proximity of consumers relative to both employees and one another, and the inevitable contact made with the various services and products within these establishments contribute to the risk of contraction spreading COVID-19. There have been health protocols of which have been implemented, such as wearing face masks and maintaining a 6-foot distance apart from another individual while waiting to pay for offered services of one's products. However, this can only mitigate so much when consumerism is encouraged through the opening of many businesses, both essential and non-essential. It creates the guise of normalcy and pandemic state of which it is irresponsible and reprehensible. This declaration and enactment of sanctuary for business has also deprived Atwater of essential emergency funding from the government, over $300,000. Funding of this caliber requires the revocation of the sanctuary business status, of which has not seemed as a possibility of the city councils, instead of considering creating a GoFundMe fundraiser to gather needed funds. This, if anything, shows that the city is in need of funding, and opening businesses has not met that need. The only conclusion that can be reached is that the sanctuary business status must be rescinded. Opening businesses has proved inefficient, has only placed Atwater residents at a higher risk in the midst of pandemic. Be responsible, take accountability, and genuinely cater to the well-being of Atwater residents in itself. Taking this step will show that Atwater is being led by individuals and are willing to grow and learn from mistakes, and will only bolster public confidence in the city's leadership. My name is Alicia Rodriguez, and I'm reaching out to voice my opinion on the importance of removal of the city's sanctuary business. The declaration brings danger to the city and relinquishes your citizens of their right to state emergency funding. Good afternoon, Mayor and Atwater City Council. I feel compelled to write regarding your decision in voting to claim Atwater a business sanctuary city. Not only did it jeopardize your city's impossible funding ability to receive relief funding, but also to choosing to put my and others' health at risk due to your political stance. Our family goes back to 4 generations of calling Atwater our home, and would have never thought we'd be in this type of situation. On May 15, 2020, when you held a special meeting to vote Atwater sanctuary city, I was not in agreement with you. I'm sure you were all well aware at that time that it did not reflect the feelings of all residents. One that our entire world has not been fully prepared for. Even at this time, the moment changes and responsibilities we must make as individuals all are new. We are fighting a virus that has no prejudice and is silent as it spread. On May 15, county reported 200 confirmed cases and 6 deaths. Fast forward to today, county reports 3,367 cases with 27 deaths. The cases have continued to rise exponentially, and quite frankly, I'm tired of hearing our leaders and politicians sum up into comparison in numbers of percentages to justify the means. I am an individual with underlying conditions. I also have parents who are retirees. We're all trying to get through this pandemic while continuing to live our lives. But it's not without thought or care. Atwater is losing revenue due to the virus, and some of that is out of control. They are with no satisfaction across the board. Many businesses are suffering. However, we must do our part to help minimize the spread of this deadly virus. Many residents have continued to support our local businesses as best we can while following the state's guidelines. This can be done. Defying our state governor rather than working with him and our local agencies put us all at risk. You should all be working together not only to support our local and small businesses, but to also support our residents by ensuring their safety. There must be a plan in place that's supported by our country, our county, our public health care department, and the state. Guidelines must be planned and supported. There is still time to change our course in hopes of these COVID relief funds back. I hope you'll follow the guidelines provided by the governor and our local health department and expand upon them to provide clear guidelines to the businesses. Please rescind the resolution and declare Atwater sanctuary city not only gain access to COVID relief funds that we so desperately need, but to help take responsibility in lowering the virus. Rhonda Perry. Within the last several months, Atwater City has made itself a local focal point for what is asserts as a constitutional right versus a matter of public policy. The constitutional right asserted is often vague and doesn't have any actual basis in the state or federal constitution, nor does it have any precedent in court opinion. The public policy concern whether the state is allowed to mandate masks or make such other regulation as required to promote the public good is well-founded in both Constitution and court precedent. Instead of listening to the laws of the land or the opinions of your constituents, Atwater City government has decided against any professional's advice to give it to profit motives of a minority of people, some small business owners, and put the average of worker and taxpayers' lives on the prey. When the decision to make public your misunderstanding of what a sanctuary city actually meant was made, the council and mayor were told of possible fiscal and safety consequences against their duties. They ignored both. Now when it announced that Atwater's government shot itself in the foot regarding the state's withholding funds, instead of admitting the obvious error, a call to alt-right groups to defend the continued arrogance and fade in ignorance of public health, and talks of starting a GoFundMe to make ignoring the obvious right answer less of an issue while costing more lives to perform the basic functions of the government and tax collection and spending for the public good were made. All this while there's been 1,343 new cases in the last 14 days and 15 new deaths, all in Merced County. This is 467 per 100,000 newly infected. As the rate increases, the total infected and total dead will only rise due to the sheer incompetence of every elected official. No one in any place of public trust should be so willing to throw human lives away when the reality so heavily asserts that continuing a course of action such as you are doing will lead directly to lives lost for no gain. The trading of short-term economic gains is quickly overshadowed by the lives that will be lost, and even by the economic long-term losses due to those deaths. All of this to say, I hope that the public knows every name of every individual who voted and pushed for Atwater being made into the sanctuary city for business, so that when liability for deaths is sought, there are no question of who is responsible. Regard, Tyler Kirsch. While I don't agree, Mr. Newsom, on most issues, this situation can be resolved quite simply. Rescind the resolution if you're eager to receive the governor's handout. I thought everything was going well. What does the city need money for? If you're going to plant your heels on the ground, then do not act like triggered snowflakes and whine about the state not giving you a check. Elizabeth Bear. City of Atwater council members, I'm proud to be represented by a council that stands up for the rights of small businesses. You have my support and the support of my family and friends. I'm confident that we all agree that COVID-19 is devastating in many ways. We at least have the power to limit the devastation to our business infrastructure. My business, TM Pros, supports the IT infrastructure for the city of Atwater. We serve small businesses throughout the country. These businesses can't afford to be closed for weeks or months at a time. TM Pros has lost upwards of $350,000 in revenue so far due to COVID-19 closures. Many of my smaller clients and some of my larger ones have been able to recover after being forcefully closed. The PPP funds received to help us through this totaled less than $75,000. Our only hope of surviving this disaster is for other municipalities to stand up for our rights, as you have already done for us. My wife's business, Fitness Addiction, would be closed if it were up to Sacramento. Fitness Addiction has had zero spread through her facilities. She has had 3 customers with confirmed cases COVID-19, and 2 of them acquired the illness by working in the healthcare system, and the other acquired through another vector. She has implemented all reasonable safeguards to protect herself, her staff, and her members. She has spent thousands more on cleaning supplies and labor to improve the cleanliness of the facilities. Her measures have been 100% effective in preventing the spread of COVID-19. Sacramento needs to hear a firm response from our council that the governor's tyranny is not welcome in our community. I care about my community, my customers, my employees, and my family. Your Sanctuary City for Businesses resolution makes it clear that you do too. Thank you for your dedication and service. You have my full support. I need a haircut. Michael Hull, President and co-founder. That's the last one.
Okay, that's all the email. For those who haven't submitted an email, what do we have for speaker cards?
For the first speaker card, I have J.A. Thomas.
Chief, can you make sure this, please come.
Yeah.
Come to the podium and state your name, please. Welcome.
Sorry.
Welcome.
Jay Thomas, thank you. There have been deaths from COVID, and every death is tragic, and friends left to deal with the person who is now missing. It's unfortunate. However, it's also unfortunate that they're not supposed to be held and comforted during this outrage. I just looked at the Department of Health's numbers today before I came, And when you increase the number of testing of people, then obviously the numbers are going to go up. However, the percentages have not changed. You still have a 99.99% chance of survival in Merced County should you acquire this. There is still only a 1% chance of getting the virus in Merced County. So I'm here today, Council, to tell you our freedoms are being trampled across the state, and your stand for freedom is very much appreciated. I have intentionally shopped more here because of your stand. The fake news stories do not lessen our support for you and Atwater small businesses. To anyone that can read English, the governor's state of emergency order from March under the law clearly says that it expires after 60 days. After that, according to California law, it moves to the local level. And any further action is by our Department of Health. The numbers I quoted are from them, and they are ambiguous whenever you get on their website. But there is clearly no valid reason for this current shutdown. Regarding schools, there are 5 European countries that have opened without corresponding spikes in the number of active cases. Peer-reviewed studies indicate that the K through 12 age group is not affected, nor are they carriers and spread it to others around. And a student's psyche is indeed part of their education, and they need to be in class. Please stand strong for freedom. We, the voting citizens, very much appreciate it. And everyone, please sign the Newsom recall outside. Thank you.
Mayor, next we have Theron Sanders Jr. Senior, I apologize.
Again, what was the name?
Theron Sanders Senior.
So we have people inside and outside, so we're going to try to gather the speakers that are outside. Take a little delay if we
Wait.
do this.
Do you want me to move on to another one?
No, he's coming.
Okay.
Because we don't know who's outside and who's inside.
Okay, I have one that's in here. That's next.
Okay. I don't want to steal his thunder when he comes running through that door.
I know.
Here he comes. Welcome. Please come to the podium and state your name. Mr. Sanders? Yes. You come to the podium right here. Welcome. Please state your name.
Good evening. My name is Theron Sanders Sr. I'm a resident of the city of Atwater. Thank you for allowing me to be here and to speak tonight. And the reason why I want to speak on is our current agenda, which I wholeheartedly support, opening the city of Atwater to businesses and our churches. And the reason why I support it is because I believe if you're allowed to be homeless, climb all over each other, shop in our stores, go to our other places of businesses, and not be forced to wear a mask, I shouldn't have to either. However, I plan on doing it because I want to keep my mom and shop businesses, which is my local store, open. I don't like the idea of having to go all the way over to Walmart to be able to shop when I can go 500 feet to my local grocer and be able to shop. Now, they have a mask ordinance there. The employees wear masks. I wear masks. Not that I like to. I hate having to do it. I rather breathe fresh, clean air. But I do it not only in support of my businesses, but I don't want them fined and I don't want them shut down. So if it means me having to do that to be able to keep this gentleman over and to be able to shop there, I'm willing to do it. However, I don't want anything that you've done for us resented. We need our economy to be able to continue to grow. We need to be able to stay open, eventually get the kids back in school, not right now, but at the appropriate time. I could see that being done because children are suffering and our economy is suffering. And I believe this pandemic is entirely designed to not only bring down our economy, but to try to destroy our president. And that's just my personal feelings. And I thank you for hearing me out this evening.
Thank you. Who we have next?
Next we have Don Covington. Sorry, Donald. Sorry.
Welcome. Please state your name.
I'm Don Covington, and I am president of the association named Old Town Atwater. Our goal is to help with the increased businesses, to improve our old town, and to work with this city council that we are so fortunate to have. Brian Raymond, thank you for coming up with Sanctuary City. Paul Crichton, thank you for jumping on board, and City Council, thank you for what you've done. We certainly appreciate every and anything you do. We give you our support 110% because you support us the way you do. This always carries me back to a quote I learned probably about 40 years ago, and who knows why in this old mind it's still hanging in there. It was quoted by Franklin Delano Roosevelt, and he said, "Some people are comfortable with mediocrity, neither moving forward nor moving backwards. The truth belongs to those who have aspired to great heights and have been checked by adversity, or at least they tried." You guys are trying and succeeding, and please know that we're here to support you, and thank you for what you've done. Thank you.
Thank you. Who do we have next?
Kevin Cookingham.
Welcome. Please state your name at the podium. Welcome.
My name is Kevin Cookingham. I'm running against Jim Costa for the 16th Congressional District that includes Atwater. So I'm honored to be here today. I came here primarily to start off by saying thank you guys, and I appreciate your leadership. People are looking for leadership because people love liberty, and they need people with leadership to make sure that the people are ensured of that liberty. I was listening to the comments, all 29 of them, and I noticed a lot of the comments talked about profits over people. They had their talking points down. I could tell because that same sentence was said over and over again. I want to remind these people that business owners represent people. It's not a building. Business owners own those businesses. They hire people for those businesses. I was reading a study before I came in here that said 55% of businesses may never open again. You think of what that means to people. And by the way, if we want to talk about people, 40% of the people that have lost their jobs make $40,000 a year or less. We are putting people totally dependent on government. And it's not their fault. It's the government's fault for overstepping their reach and not allowing people life and liberty the way it was meant to be. So I just want to say thank you for your leadership. I will be here to support you. I don't even have to be voted into office without supporting you. I will support you before, I will support you after, and I thank you for the example you've been with leadership. God bless you.
Who do we have next?
Rebecca Jenkins.
Welcome. Please state your name.
Hello, my name is Rebecca Jenkins, and before I get started, I just had a quick question for y'all. Do you guys collect a salary?
Can you pull that down? So pull the microphone
I can
down to
do
where
it.
you're comfortable.
Um,
Restate that.
My name is Rebecca Jenkins, and before I get started, I had a quick question. Do any of you guys collect a salary from us?
No, we do not collect a salary, but we can't go back and forth either.
Oh, sorry. I didn't know the rule. Oh, sorry. I apologize. It's the first time of
That's okay.
ever coming up in front of.
Relax, be comfortable.
So I will say I am one of the blessed. And when I say I'm one of the blessed, I am a essential worker, whatever that means, right? And I'm also a millennial, and I'm a healthcare worker. And I just want to let you guys know that I am so thankful for what you guys have done for our community here in Atwater. I've been raised here, going to the parks, playing sports here in Atwater, and I'm just so thankful. And as a healthcare provider, it's kind of one of those touchy situations, because do I not care about people coming and saying I support you guys for doing this for us? No, that's not true. Every single day I go to work and I take care of people. And I care about the people of my community. I care about the businesses here, the mental health of our people here. Taking away people's jobs, their livelihoods can cause, we all know it can cause depression. You can just take a look at Fresno. It's the highest suicide that has ever happened in a long time. Look at that. I take care of patients that have mental health issues. I will tell you, it's crazy, just what I've been seeing. So I just want to encourage you guys. I know you guys are having a lot of pushback from the governor, but you know, you guys are the heart of Atwater. You guys really are. And thank you so much for just taking this battle. I have friends and family across the country that say we are a beacon on a hill. Our little town of Atwater is a beacon. I think that's incredible. So just keep up the good work, and I support you 100%. Thank you.
Who do we have next?
Susan Munoz, pastor.
Welcome. Please state your name.
Hi, Susan Munoz from the Father's Heart Church, and also a board member of King's Christian Academy, a private school. And we're so grateful that we can teach the kids, that we can worship freely, that we can raise our families and live our lives and support businesses in the community. And I know that every constituent, every citizen is on your mind when you make these tough decisions. And I just commend you, and we're so grateful, and we support you, and we pray for you, and we're very, very grateful to be part of Atwater. Thank you.
Thank you. Who do we have next?
Mary McWaters.
Is Mary McWaters outside? We're going to wait for Mary. She's coming. They just. Oh. Big delay. Mike, she's like right outside that door.
I hear her.
What was that?
She's coming.
Oh, yeah, there you go. Janelle? Can you go ahead and announce the next two? Welcome. Can you hold on 1 second, please, Ms. McWaters?
Okay.
Can you ask the next two?
On.
Hand them to the chief.
Okay.
Whatever's easier. Probably announce it.
Oh, I need.
On
Yeah.
the record, yeah.
Next up, we have Denise Aguilar, and then after that is Daniel Perez. They're both in here.
Okay. Welcome. Please state your name.
Denise isn't in here?
Mary McWaters. Mr. Creighton, I'm here tonight as a constituent, a lifelong resident, can you hear me?
I can hear you.
Of Atwater. When I read your comments along with the council members in the Sun Star, I was embarrassed to see that the city's leadership has placed, you know what, I have something on at the same time. I was listening to your, I just turn that off, okay, sorry. There. Let's see, where was I? I was embarrassed to see that the city's leadership has placed the health and safety of the community at risk of your own political agenda and egos. I'm asking that you lift the sanctuary city status tonight. Not only have you potentially cost the city nearly $400,000 of COVID relief money, you have made it clear that you are not concerned about the health and the safety of the constituents. Dollars over lives is what you have chosen. This pandemic is real. No one knows how long it will be here, but what we know is going to get worse before it gets better. This city has been in financial turmoil for years, and the money to be turned away from the state, and for money to be turned away from the state when it doesn't have to be baffles me. Mr. Creighton, you believe that your constituents and Donald Trump are on your side. Well, Donald Trump is not going to bail this city out. For all of you to say you're shocked that funds were pulled shocks me. When the governor imposed the shelter-in-place and closures, it was what the cities and the counties that did not comply with the governor's orders. It was said that if the cities and counties that did not comply with the governor's orders, they would suffer consequences. So I implore you to do what is best for the city, and most of all, what is right for the health and the safety of the citizens of this city. Lift the sanctuary status and comply with the state's orders when it comes to the pandemic. Mr. Creighton, now is not the time to dig your heels in. Thank you.
Who do we have next?
No comments, please.
Who's our next speaker?
Denise Aguilar.
Welcome. Please state your name.
Hi, my name is Denise Aguilar. I'm with Freedom Angels Foundation that was formed for politicians to be supported during these times. What you have done is modeled what the rest of the counties should be doing in thinking about the people in their cities and in their counties, the business owners that are losing their American dream, the people who are being lost in the system because they can't go to their meetings and they can't see their families, the families who have lost their loved ones, to nursing homes who cannot have any visitors. What's the most important thing is the American dream in the United States of America. And what Gavin Newsom has done to form these strike teams against counties and cities like yours is treasonous. I just want to say thank you to every single one of you who have looked at the data, looked at the manipulated data, and made the decisions for business owners and families in your city, because that is the American dream. Thank you.
Thank you. Who do we have next?
Daniel Perez.
Can you call the next two also?
Next, we have Heidi Munoz. And Michael Nagera. Oh, I might, hold on. Michael's for item 14, I apologize. And
Okay.
this is probably not.
Welcome. Please state your name.
Hello, my name is Daniel Perez, and I'm actually a native of Texas. I was born there, raised there for a little bit, and we have set the precedent here in Central Valley, California. You would expect the staff here that would do something in a southern state that would protect small businesses and, most importantly, churches. In a time such as now, we need to turn to God. In a time such as now, as people are fearful and running and scared and running with the flock, we have stand. We're going against the grain. I want to thank you so much. I'm a father of a 4-month-old baby girl. Hopefully we're able to adopt her. She's in the foster care system. My wife and I are petitioning to adopt her. And when she gets older, I'm going to be glad to tell her. And little old Atwater, little girl, we stand against the grain. We were proud. We didn't go with the flow. We're not fearful. This is the example that can guide and direct you in your life. Thank you so much from the bottom of my heart. And all these people out here, I know I have friends outside. They have told me that majority of them are majority of them are in support of this. So thank you so much, and I stand with you. Thank you.
Who do we have next?
Heidi Munoz.
Welcome. Please state your name. You could adjust, yeah, please.
Hi, I'm Heidi Munoz Gleisner. I came all the way from the San Francisco Bay Area. That's how important this is. I'm one of the co-founders of Freedom Angels Foundation, and I just wanted to come express my tremendous gratitude for the bold leadership that you are taking here. We got to be here back in May when you made the first in the nation decision to stand boldly as a sanctuary city for businesses and for churches. I think this is a defining moment, especially for the church more than ever. The church leading the way and you guys standing with the church is so important, and so my gratitude for that. Yes, there are many people out there standing in support of this as well. It's exciting to be actually at an event where the people in support way outnumber those who don't agree. Normally when I'm coming to town council meetings, I'm in the minority, and so it's very exciting to be in the majority this time. So thank you so much. Again, I appreciate each and every one of you.
Thank you. Who do we have next?
Tyler Button.
Again?
Tyler Button.
Okay. And the next two after that?
And then we have Dave Hunsuck and Danny Hernandez.
Michael's here for the Sanctuary City also.
Michael.
McGuire?
Oh, thank you.
Yes. And then.
Because he had item 14 on his.
Yeah. Michael McGuire?
Okay.
Hi, welcome. Please state your name.
Michael Noguera.
Tyler Button.
I'm from Atwater, California.
Can you adjust the mic so we can? Perfect, you're a tall guy.
I'm from Atwater, California. I was just coming to say that I agree with the city being a sanctuary city and that you guys should keep it up, make America free again. Benjamin Franklin said, those who give up liberty deserve neither our liberty nor our security. So keep that up and vote for freedom. Thanks.
Who do we have next, Janelle?
Tyler Button.
Welcome. State your name and approach the podium.
Tyler Button, 3320 Shoreline Drive. I just want to first thank you guys, the City Council, Board of Supervisors, and just the leaders in Atwater for what you guys do. It's really challenging time. But I'm a teacher here locally, and I just wanted to talk about there's been a concerted effort. I'll just kind of keep it general, but there's been a concerted effort in this general area, not just Atwater, to get rid of SROs on campuses. And I just think that it needs to be known that parents need to speak up. They need to email. They need to contact their school board, their school leaders, and let them know that they want to keep the SROs on campus. I'm old enough to remember when the safety of kids was number one when there was school shootings going on, and this would have never came up. But because we're in kind of a time nationally that's anti-police, anti-law enforcement, now we don't want to protect our kids. So I just think if you're a parent listening to this, you need to call your local school board, call your local school district, and let them know, I want my kids protected. We want fences up. Do we want to take the fences down because that represents an oppressive jail? Of course not. You can spin the logic any way you want, but at the end of the day, we have to protect our kids. And I'll just end with one final note. At the site I'm at, we do a cadet program. I don't personally run it, but there's a teacher that runs it, and it's a great program where kids can sign up and they go through these classes and they help kids cross the street, and they do all these volunteer programs that help them move towards a pathway of maybe being a law enforcement or some type of first responder. And their whole motto is everything positive and being a role model and how police officers are the role models and heroes in the community. And it's such a great program. And under the ideology of getting rid of SROs, those same people would probably like to get rid of that cadet program because it would be promoting something that's negative. But these people do not actually see what's going on and how these SROs interact with our kids. And if they did, then they wouldn't think like that. And so so if you're a parent or not a parent, you just care about your schools and the safety, I encourage you to speak up. So thanks.
Thank you. Who do we have next?
Dave Hunsuck.
Welcome. Please state your name.
My name is Dave Hunsuck. I live in Atwater here. I learned a new Latin phrase today. How about that? It's kind of weird for me. It said carum Deo. I was reading that this morning. And it basically says this: in the face of God. I stand before you all as my leaders and submit myself to you as if you are the ones appointed by God. Every one of us has a fear of God in our heart, or we have a fear of the things around us. What I'm hearing tonight is over and over these things. Give me freedom, I'm not afraid, or you're going to kill us. Is it that way? Every one of us that walk through that door out there, it says, the Atwater City motto, is that right? It says, in God we trust. I would like to ask each of us to, in our hearts, really look carefully. Is it God we're putting our trust in? I'm putting my trust in you. I stand in support of keeping Atwater open. I really need to believe that the citizens here have the ability to act in good judgment. We don't need to act in fear. I'm protecting an elderly mother-in-law, our family. We have people who are very vulnerable, and I believe in protecting the vulnerable, but I don't believe in shutting down everybody just because some people, I gotta say this carefully, they are afraid. I know we have a lot of people who are afraid in this community. I feel the fear. I know you do too. I ask you to be courageous. I stand before you and ask you to do the right thing under God in your mind tonight. Thank you very much.
Who do we have next?
Danny Hernandez.
Who?
Danny Hernandez.
Is Mr. Hernandez in the room?
I know who Mr. Hernandez is.
You,
He was here earlier.
Javier Ramirez.
They're not answering outside.
Okay.
This is inside.
That's it for the public speaker cards, Mayor.
that's it for the, okay. Does anybody else want to come forward at this time before we close the public comment? Okay, looks like we have 3. I'll go 1. You wanted to go? Back here? Okay. For this item, we're still going to hold that at the end of the council meeting. So for this item, is there anyone? Okay, please raise your
lady
hand
right here.
inside this
This lady
room
right
who
here.
wants to speak still.
Chief.
I have 3. Okay, ma'am, go ahead, and then the gentleman behind you, and then we'll follow up with.
Hi, my name is Maria Vega. I've lived in Atwater all my life, just about, born in Texas. But I just stand before you guys and I just thank you for what you're doing. And I'm going to support you as much as I can. And I pray for you guys that you make the right decisions for our city. Thank you so much.
Thank you. Welcome. Please state your name.
Wasn't planning on speaking tonight, but my name's Ben Burquam. I live a few hundred miles or a couple hundred miles south of here. And I just wanted to thank you guys for having the courage to stand up and stand against the tyranny that we're seeing in the state of California. What we're seeing, this fear that we're being driven by, I can't think of a time in American history that we've lived through something so pathetic. We're a nation built on risk takers. We're a nation built on the trust in God as our solution, as our salvation, as our great physician. And now we're living in an age where we're being driven by fear and by lies. More and more and more data is coming out showing one thing: no child in California under the age of 18 has died. I don't know if anyone already said that tonight, but we still have schools shut down. It is insane. The transmission rate, the mortality rate continues to drop. I was just down with a doctor, Dr. Fareed, down in Southern California, who treated he and his practice, along with another doctor down there, nearly 1,000 patients. And if by giving hydroxychloroquine, azithromycin, and zinc, that cocktail of drugs, they haven't had a single patient die when it was administered early on in treatment. We are allowing people to die for 2 reasons, I believe. One is big pharma. They're not going to make any money on this. And 2, it's politics. We have people that care more about defeating President Trump in the next election and taking the House and the Senate than they do about protecting America and protecting American lives. Cities are burning down. Portland's burning down. Seattle's burning down. Minneapolis is burning down. DC is burning down because of anti-American lawlessness in this country. The same people that would have us get rid of our police in this country would have you stay shut down. And I just commend you. I uplift you. And on behalf of countless Californians that wish you were our city council, I thank you. God bless you guys.
Welcome. Please state your name.
Hi, thank you. Tara Thornton, also of the Freedom Angels Foundation. Thank you, Ben. I agree completely with everything you said. And I, too, have traveled for hundreds of miles to be here tonight because it is that important what is happening and what you're doing. Thank you for making the nation's first sanctuary city for small businesses and churches. And most importantly, what that represents is that you have stepped forward as leadership to stand in due process, to include your community, to have a transparent and open process that looks at burden of proof, that looks at the data and tries to balance all the risks and find real solutions. Because what's come down from state leadership, from public health, and advanced through mainstream media is not solutions. It's criminal, and it's disingenuous at best and nefarious at worst. And as Ben said, I agree that there isn't probably a town in this nation that doesn't wish that they had a mayor and city council that would hear them and have an open building where every person on any position can speak. This is what it is supposed to be, and that is one of the most heartbreaking parts of it all. So thank you for that. Thank you for standing strong against Newsom's tyranny, his heavy-handed use of strike teams in any avenue he can to suppress and advance what he would like to see. And also, I want to say, if public health and our governor were interested in the health and well-being of our community, then the best and most effective integrative treatments would be available at every doctor's office, clinic, ER, at the earliest point of convenience. That's what they would spend their money and time on. That's what they would be shouting from the rooftops. That is how you make sure that the fear is not driving division and hate. That's how you make sure people know that they're being heard and protected and cared about. Thank you again all for the Sanctuary City, and know that there isn't a state or town or piece of ground in this nation that isn't facing the same battle. We're all on one battlefield, and if you're looking at masks or social distancing, or you're wondering what the treatments are to deal with this, then you're on the same battleground, and it's every place has a different terrain to fight from. Some are going to be easier and some are harder. And you have provided your community actually strong ground to find the solutions, to move forward together and have the healthiest, most balanced outcome. Thank you all.
Welcome. Please state your name.
Thank you. Zachary Hunsuck, address is 3256 Scott Drive, Atwater, California. Something I think not many people grasp in these dark times, especially politicians, is the concept that ideas have consequences. I learned this at a relatively young age, just beginning high school, at a wonderful conference for young students called Summit Ministries. There are two people in history that come to mind when I think of times like this. One of them is Neville Chambers, and the other one is Winston Churchill. There's a big difference. One said we have peace in our time, and he thought he came up with a solution by taking the easy way. The other one later declared that we will fight anywhere. Wherever the enemy comes, we will fight. We will not accept defeat. And obviously, we know which one we take to be cherished in our hearts and history. We thank him for his brave leadership in dark times. Y'all are voted in by us, the citizens of Atwater, and we trust in you to make decisions on our behalf, because democracy is not what makes a country great or a city, but a republic. So I trust you with the great decision laid before you. Let me encourage you that maybe there's such a time as this for Atwater. Maybe we are put in a place to stand up and represent other cities. We've gone through tough times before. And I remember when Atwater went bankrupt growing up and thinking, man, our city's falling apart. But then y'all came in, you stood up, you made a difference. Maybe now it's time not only to make a difference for this city, but for our state. As the great apostle Paul said in Romans chapter 5, verses 3 through 4, he said, not only that, but we also glory in tribulations, knowing that tribulation produces perseverance, character, and ultimately hope. Additionally, one last thing I'll leave you with. It's Proverbs 24, verse 10, written by the great psalmist. If you faint in the day of adversity, your strength is small. Thank you. Have a great day.
So we have, looks like 3 left. Ma'am, you'll go third. Thank you.
All right. Rich Miller.
Please, thank you.
Rich Miller,
Welcome.
334 Silva Drive here in Atwater, pastor of Victory Baptist Church, 1280 Sierra Vista Street. I want to start off by just saying thank you to our firefighters, our police officers. A lot of times they are the unsung heroes, and even outside, they're out there with us. I appreciate their service and just want to say thank you to them. I want to say thank you to you, City Council. In those opening emails, we were trying to listen outside. It was very hard. But my heart ached as you were being attacked, because many of those people that were attacking you, they have not come here for the last year and a half and listened to you and listened to what you've done. You have turned our city around. And for them to attack you and to say that you don't care about people tells me they do not know you. And so you cannot listen to all of the skeptics. You cannot listen to all the critics. We have seen what you have done. We have seen what you've done financially, monetarily with our city and turning it around. How you've given it hope. You've given it a new theme, positive progress. And we've seen that as a community. So while there are email skeptics out there and there are people that want to send in the same thought, just remember there are people here in the community that stand behind you. I think back to 1776 in our history when our few colonies, 13 colonies, took a stand and made a declaration and said because they did not have representation that they were going to take a stand against England. And I feel like in our state, so often our community doesn't have a voice, but you have given us a voice by taking a stand for us. And I appreciate that. And in that Declaration of Independence, they said that there were 3 rights that were given to every man from God: life, liberty, and the pursuit of happiness. And they ensured that in our Constitution by making sure that the First Amendment said that Congress could not pass an act or make a law that would prohibit the exercise of religion. And we need to understand that what our governor is doing is wrong. And at Victory Baptist Church, our doors are open. We will continue to worship God, and we will continue to try to help people who are struggling through this time, because we care about people just as you do. So thank you for what you've done, and you have our support 100%.
Ma'am, please state your name. Welcome.
I'm Carrie Ann Carlson Ewing, and from Merced. I really have to thank you so much for having this forum tonight. It's wonderful to see. I remember being in here helping to film council meetings and like that many, many years ago when Atwater was struggling with the closure of the base and what to do with the base and everything. And Atwater has come a long ways. I really commend you on the growth. This is beautiful. And the statements by the former people have just been so powerful. The stand you are taking is powerful. You have no idea. I remember a childhood story of a little boy that saved a city by putting his finger in the hole that was, water was starting to come out of a dam that was about to break. And he saved it from the whole thing just flooding and taking over the city. Everybody else was running around trying to figure out what to do, and he just put his finger in and stopped it. And this is a small community, but it can be a powerhouse. We take a stand with a proper message, because the freedoms that are in that Constitution are freedoms that are meant for every person on this entire planet. But we have to start somewhere to protect them. And we know what's really going on. We know the real attack. And there are protocols, and there is medicine out there that's affordable that can beat this COVID. And we don't have to be victims to fear. We have to protect our economy, we have to protect our rights, and we have to protect each other. We have to do our homework, our research, and understand what is the wisest way to do it. And if we have to be the little boy to put our finger in the dike, that's what we do. I just really commend you all. Thank you, everybody, for all that you come up and said, and thank you for holding this. Bless you.
Welcome. Please state your name.
My name is Nancy Leonard. I grew up in Balico, attended a couple classes at Atwater High School back in the day. And I am so proud of all of you taking a stand and using your common sense and the actual statistics that back up that the pandemic is gone. The flu from last season was greater and had greater deaths by a huge margin. You don't hear this in mainstream media. So keep standing for truth. Truth, you know, it's David and Goliath, but David overcame. I direct a gospel choir. Our mouths have been silenced by all these months of not being able to sing in churches. So I may just have to come down to Atwater and start a choir here. I want to leave you with one final song that comes to mind. And trust me, I'm not a person that gives myself solos. I give them to everybody else. But I'm going to sing this and button it up with, God has not given us a spirit of fear. God has not given us a spirit of fear, but he has given unto us a spirit of power, a spirit of love, and a sound mind. Wait on the Lord and be of good courage. Wait on the Lord and be of good courage, for he has given unto us a spirit of power, a spirit of love, and a sound mind. Thank you.
Okay, at this time I'm going to close the public comment. Bring it back to the dais for the mayor's statement. Fellow Californians and Atwater residents, just last September, in a lawsuit filed against the Trump administration, the governor argued that it was illegal to withhold funds because California's policies conflicted with the federal government. They argued that the conditions on funding by Trump were, and I quote, part of the administration's attempt to bully, cajole, coerce state and local governments into following the Trump's administration immigration policies. They also allege in that same complaint, and I quote, the funding conditions placed on these grants are unauthorized by Congress and are unrelated. The imposition of all of these immigration enforcement requirements in contravention of congressional intent is unlawful and unconstitutional and should be halted. Fast forward 10 months to just last Thursday. We received a letter from the Governor's Office of Emergency Services attempting to do the very same thing he has accused the Trump administration of, namely, that unless we rescind our sanctuary city resolution, we will be denied coronavirus relief funding. A big difference here, however, is that it was never California's money to begin with. On July 13th, 7 members of the Congress wrote a letter to Governor Newsom making the case that he has no authority to hijack federal funds in this way, and in any effort to add California-specific conditions to prevent that money from flowing down to local governments would be illegal and defy Congress's intent. So, call the governor's attempt to deny funding to our city an inconsistency, call it a position reversal, call it a double standard, or even call it ironic. But whatever you call it, don't think it's about public health. This is about trying to get the political last word, if not an act of political reprisal and revenge. They have tried to put a gun to our heads to make us fold. They want our citizens to feel scared and vulnerable. Don't be. They want to increase political heat, or we become the next victim in a long line of victims in today's cancel culture. They want to win. They need to win, even if we are just a small 29,000 population city in the Central Valley. Because of one resolution of solidarity and support, the governor has withheld federal funding stream to the people of Atwater, ignoring everything else we have done as a city to take this pandemic seriously, despite being the first city in Merced County to declare an emergency, despite working with businesses to help them open safely and well, and encouraging their compliance with state health protocols. Our resolution, apparently not the kind of solidarity and support that the governor is okay with. In hindsight, if we had told our police to stand down for mass protests instead of small businesses, the governor would have accepted, excused, even celebrated that. After all, many Californian mayors who welcome mass protests in flagrant violation of the shelter-in-place orders have absolutely no fear of loss of funding, but little old Atwater does. Apparently, Atwater's problem is that it hitched its wagon to the wrong political horse. So I want to be as clear as I possibly can to our citizens of Atwater. We expected and anticipated this counter move. You may be surprised by this ultimatum, but we are not. In anticipation of all of this, we balanced next year's budget and took aggressive, forward-thinking financial steps based on the assumption that no money would flow from the state and that no help would come from Sacramento. We did not mortgage our future for this money, and we have no reason to fear now. Do not let this threat here surprise you. It does not surprise us. We expected and prepared for it and balanced our books without it. But if they really want an apology, if they are really looking for us to recant, here it goes. We apologize for declaring ourselves a sanctuary city for businesses. We are sorry that this is what it takes or what it costs in 2020 to think for yourself in the face of the regime that exploit public health to advance their own agenda. We just hope that some may start to see that the glaring double standards and the arbitrary decided winners and losers of this pandemic. So I ask the governor to come to Atwater, listen to our people, hear our concerns, see the work ethic and patriotism and the public safety we continue to take seriously. Look the people of Atwater in the eye and explain to them why mass protests of a political persuasion are okay, but they cannot worship or be responsible business owners. Look them in the eye and tell them you are not picking pandemic winners and losers. Look them in the eye and say the money and the time Atwater has spent on COVID-19 does not matter. To the citizens of Atwater, we are not surprised by this, and the latest ultimatum will not sway our resolve, and we ask that it not sway yours. We heard you loud and clear at the special meeting in May where we passed your resolution with overwhelming community support. Stand firm with us again today, because rescinding and recanting will sure cost us more in the end than it could ever hope to gain by it now. Thank you. Meeting recessed for a 10-minute break.
Yeah, no. Check. All right, guys. Still have some audio issues. Give me a check. Second year here. So,
Love the mask, brother.
we're here. The governor of
Hey.
conversation with the
re-adjourn the Atwater City Council meeting of July 27th, 2020. Consent calendar.
Background information has been provided on all matters listed under the consent calendar, and these items are considered to be routine. All items under the consent calendar are normally approved by one motion. If discussion is requested on any item, that item will be removed from the consent calendar for separate action.
Are there any items on the consent calendar the council would like to remove for separate discussion or possible action? Are there any members of the public that want to speak on the consent calendar? Seeing none, we'll close the public comment. Bring it back to the council. What's your pleasure?
Motion to approve the consent calendar is posted.
And I'll second that.
Motion by Raymond, second by Vieira.
Kale?
Yes.
Raymond?
Yes.
Vieira?
Yes.
Ambrose?
Yes.
Creighton?
Yes.
Motion passes.
Okay, so at this time, I'm going to jump ahead for public comment. Ms. Johnson, if you don't mind coming up, state your name on the podium. Please state your name. Okay. Welcome.
Good evening, City Council. Richard Johnson, 1675 Drexel Avenue, Atwater. I am here tonight to remind everyone of all the bullshit the city has put my wife and I through. Remember the illegal raid of 2015? Thinking that bullshit didn't affect us is so wrong. We have been through so much, only God knows how we are still here today. How about the bullshit with Price and Joseph? When I said this is bullshit, what you guys are doing to my wife. I was silenced by ex-Mayor Price, thrown out, arrested, placed in cuffs, and as 4 officers stood around me, the then ex-Chief Joseph tried to break my arm while totally defenseless. Just imagine that, your arms behind your back in cuffs. They call it chicken winged, and that is bullshit. And forced to spend 13 hours in county jail without medical attention. And we found out the next day in the newspaper, Joseph told the paper that I was booked and released immediately. That was bullshit lie right there. I spent 13 freaking hours. Anyway. What about the 4 longest years of our lives, being denied clean running water? That bullshit almost killed my wife. Her health has been bad ever since. When an outside source, the self-help program, wanted to bring her clean water, you Atwater City officials told them no. How dare you? How dare you not want us to have clean water to live? Shame on every one of you. What about the bullshit with Public Works, telling our neighbors to watch out? That the Johnsons steal water, our closest neighbors, telling them not to share or give us water. How dare you? Going so far as to actually charge our neighbor for 2 properties, thinking that we were hooked up to their water. Public Works went in their backyard and tried to say that they had a water leak at an absurd amount of 100 gallons an hour. Our neighbors never got reimbursed for that. Okay? What about when we were making our living selling fruit from our commercial property that we bought 17 years ago? What about that? Nobody else goes through this much bullshit. Not even real criminals. Which we are not. The Johnsons of yesterday are gone.
Thank you. Time's expired.
1 second. I got 2 seconds.
Time's
Johnsons
expired.
yesterday are gone.
Mr.
Now we are
Johnson.
the Johnsons who are angry and
Johnson.
going to say so.
Thank you. Do we have anybody else who'd like to come forward at this time and speak? You guys, ma'am, you can come up now. Can you please state your name? Welcome.
My name is Patricia Ramos Anderson. I'm with the U.S. Census, and it's great to be back in City of Atwater. We do go to your downtown area and eat out. We do enjoy that part of this area. Just to let you know, I'm here to give you an update of the U.S. Census, and what's very important is that we need to invest in our future, and that's what the census is all about for the next 10 years. And this is part of our future. Grandkids, great-grandkids, and they all reflect us all. What's more important is that they're going to be born and raised here in our communities that we live and we strive for and go to our schools. But by being counted, right now we have 2 census tracts in Atwater that are low responding. And I did have a copy of that. Census tract number 503, the city council members, and sometimes they cross over into 2 city council districts. There's a copy for you. We need to look at that one. It's right now at 52.5. The census tract, the next one is 701. And 701 is a little teeny tiny one near 140, near the little, not 140, the center of Atwater, near your little downtown area. There's a small little pocket. And that one's at, right here, at 58.8. It has a higher number. So what we're looking at and what we've been doing with other cities, Maria Baptista here from Livingston, we've been doing caravans. The elected officials, the city council, have engaged the whole departments, fire, sheriffs, even their building, road services staff, to participate, and we go to these census tracts and excite them and give them information, and also service providers in these communities. We're talking about the future of economic development We're talking about the future of our veterans and also affordable housing for seniors because they're going to want to be in assisted living, not so much convalescent homes, which it was traditional. Looking at the future of our students, having quality, high-tech schools, and also the future of for everyone, because if we don't get counted, we give our resources to other states. And that's what happened in 2010. 2/3 of the resources for this community, this area, went to another state. And that's why this year we're working very hard and closely with the interfaith communities, the organizations, service providers in your city and the area, healthcare providers, you name it, even your tire shop service, all your small businesses. And it's also about the economic development for your small business because that is your tax base for these communities and these cities. But we need to get everyone counted because we don't know what the next 5 years might look like. But by being counted, we know that we have invested for the next 10 years. And we want to engage with you and participate with you together in addressing these low census tracts. Thank you.
Thank you. If anybody else from the public would like to come up at this time? We're doing a public comment now, and then we're doing one at the end, but you can only speak it either now or later. Welcome. Please state your name.
Caleb Hampton. Just a second. Caleb Hampton. I live in Atwater. Good morning to the council. I just wanted to come up here and comment on the Sanctuary City resolution. I submitted a petition to the council through the city clerk. It has over 1,000 signatures, which calls on the council to rescind the resolution. I know that some have said that the money that the state is offering is a drop in the bucket. I think that for families that are struggling to make rent or pay medical bills, that's an incredibly out of touch and insulting thing to say. We could help a lot of people with that money with the first payment, and then presumably if the city would authorize more support for people who are struggling to pay rent or to pay medical bills, and you were to rescind the resolution, we could use even more resources from the state. I'm also here to express my disappointment that apparently outside groups were invited to make comment tonight by a member of the council. I think it's inappropriate for a member of the council to give a platform to alt-right anti-vaxxers so that they can crowd out comments from people who actually live in Atwater. I'm not sure how that is an appropriate use of the council's time or resources, but frankly, it's disappointing to me as a citizen here who actually pays property taxes, and it's disappointing to many other people in Atwater as well. Please stop playing politics with people's lives. We just want to be safe. We just want you to follow the local county health department's plans. We just want you to rescind the resolution. Thank you.
Any other members of the public would like to come forward at this time? Welcome. Please state your name.
Rich Miller, 334 Silva Drive here in Atwater, pastor Victory Baptist Church, 1280 Sierra Vista Street. I'm just going to make 2 comments, and I'm going to sit down. I'm tired of people attacking you guys once again and attacking our city. Our city did not put the Johnsons in the situation that they're in. Maybe a previous administration, maybe a previous council, but you guys did not do that. I did not do that. And when they say our city has done this to them, I take offense to that because I didn't do that to them. And I am their neighbor. Our church is across the street, went away from them. And my kids, I would like to recommend that with the hand sanitizer that we start putting soap and water back there because as a young kid, my mom would have washed my mouth out for saying the words he said as many times as he said it. And he has it on signs out in front of his yard, and that's his First Amendment right. But he needs to stop saying that the city has done this to him. We have not done this to him. We're sorry for what's happened to him, but it's not our fault. As far as the other gentleman, I just want people who are, once again, trying to make claims that people came from outside our city. These people that were out there, I was out there, they were from our city. They were your constituents, and they were voicing what they had heard online. They were seeing that our city council was under attack, you took a stand for us, and they wanted to support you. That's all that needs to be said on that. Although I would say that if someone really cares about the health of others, they should live what they preach. Just a couple weeks ago, my boys and I stopped at Little Caesars, and as we were walking out, my boy said, "Isn't that the guy who wore the face mask at the city council meeting back in May when he said that we shouldn't be a sanctuary city, and that was Mr. Caleb. And I thought that was amazing that my little boys recognized that people in his car weren't wearing masks, but he wants everybody else to. So don't be a hypocrite. Don't ask for a double standard for us to follow something that you're not following yourself. And I'm just tired of seeing people attack you guys. I'm really not up for it tonight, so I apologize if that came from the flesh, but I tried to give you a spiritual comment earlier. This is the fleshly one. All right, thank you.
Any other members of the public like to come forward at this time? See none. We will reassume public hearing item number 12, confirming the engineer's report and ordering the annual levy for the lighting landscape district and landscape assessment maintenance districts for fiscal year 2020 through 2021. Director Thompson.
Sorry. Good evening, Mr. Mayor and members of the council. Thank you for your consideration of this item this evening. Much as the items that were on the previous council meeting relative to the assessment districts, this night what we're asking you for additionally is another resolution confirming the engineer's report. Now, the engineer's report, if you looked at the previously presented material, is a necessary component of the assessment district process to justify the level of service expense that we are allowed to raise this under Proposition 218 and other measures of the law. So what we're asking for this evening is the consideration and the adoption of this resolution confirming the engineer's report. Now, if you looked at, one thing I want to be very specific in mentioning to the council, it was included in your previous packets and in the staff report, that staff is not recommending, nor is the consultant, a full increase what they are allowed under law. They are only asking for the increase to meet the level of service. And I'm available into any questions you may have regarding.
Thank you.
We also have a representative from Wildan Services on the line, Jim McGuire, for questions as well.
Okay. Let me open the public comment on this. He's online. Can you hear us?
Yes, I can hear you.
Okay, I'm going to open the public comment, and then I'll bring it back to you. Anybody from the public like to speak on this item? Please come to the podium. See none, we'll close the public comment, bring it back to the podium. You want to say a couple of words?
Mr. McGuire, that was in reference to yourself. If you'd like to have any questions for the council, mayor and council.
No, I don't have anything unless the council has some questions.
Councilman Raymond, you out there, can you hear us? Is he still logged in?
He is logged in. He's on mute right now.
Sorry, I had it on mute. No questions.
Okay. Council, what's your direction?
I'll second that.
Motion by Kale, second by Vieira.
Vieira?
Yes.
Raymond?
No.
Ambrose?
Yes.
Kale?
Yes.
Creighton?
Yes.
Motion passes.
Reports and presentations from staff. Verbal update regarding cannabis businesses and applications. Director Thompson, what's going on in the cannabis side of things?
Good evening. What we've prepared for you this evening for council, and I'm not sure if Councilman Raymond is the material is available to him or not, but if he has any specific questions, we can certainly walk.
Councilman Raymond, do you have a copy of that?
Yes, sir. I have the paperwork.
Okay, great.
Okay.
So what we wanted to do is respond to some questions from the public and from council relative to our cannabis business activity. So the City Council for the City of Atwater some time ago passed an ordinance approving an amendment to the municipal code creating section 5.60 and amendments to its zoning text to provide for cannabis businesses here in the City of Atwater. Now, if you will all remember, Janelle, can you advance the slide? Thank you. What we were given was very specific marching orders when introducing cannabis businesses to the community. And what we've done is basically bullet pointed those for you up on the screen, which is one, create and identify a sustainable revenue source for the city, promote new business generation, which has always been a hot topic for the city council, either by new construction or demolition or cleanup of properties, eliminate blight. This gave an opportunity or a new opportunity to come in and revitalize properties within the city. And two, create new utility infrastructure opportunities because of the new development. Those were basically the sum of our marching orders at the time. So when we look at new businesses that come in, not only cannabis businesses, but others, these are basically some of the goals for sustainability that we are tasked with looking at. Okay, so this spreadsheet that we have included in your package, which may be a little tough to read, what we wanted to do is create bullet points on the other section over there that talked about what the business activity has been, because that was the primary focus of the questions, both from Councilmember Vieira and from Mr. Miller, I believe, at the time. So all total, the city has experienced 18 business applications through various cannabis interested parties. And we do an intake of those applications. We do a consideration of the application materials. We make sure that they have an operational statement, that they give us basic business input, that is site plan suitable for our evaluation and for evaluation by the chief and by the police department are done. So at this time, based on those total of 18 applications, there are 8 active applicants at this time out of 18. We have 1 cannabis business that has applied for a time extension under the original round of applications, and 9 of those applications have expired, which means that they have gone to some level of entitlement through the approval of their development agreement and the application for their conditional use permit, and per the terms of our both agreement and the conditional use permit, they have not commenced business activities within the first month of being granted their entitlements. So I wanted to represent to the council, just as a really good optic and a visual, that this is the map that we first created at the council and the city manager's request, which shows basic cannabis activity, their geographical locations, and they're separated or color-coded by their business types. Can you bring the second one up? This is a drastic difference in that map. This shows the various cannabis application activities as they currently exist, which is dramatically different and of less impact than when the program was first initiated. So the last slide. So right now what we wanted to do was, in addition to discuss the decline in the business applications from the cannabis industry, we also wanted to share with you the public benefit to date is rocking in right at about approximately 150,000. Those are from the 3 active businesses that we currently have. Of those businesses, we have 2 that are designated for retail activity and 1 for manufacturing activity. All 3 of those businesses are located within the airport industrial park. So that hopefully can give you a basic overview of what we're seeing. One, the nature, the type of those businesses, and the business activity of itself is not at a fever white hot temperature right now. We're seeing a decline, I think, from the state's perspective, from your municipality's perspective, and from those of the applicant. The industry was basically brand new, and it has evolved in what we're seeing right now.
Okay, I'm going to open it up to the public at this time. Any members of the public like to come forward on this item? Come on up, state your name, and welcome.
I'll state it just for the record. Okay. Rich Miller, 334 Silva Drive, pastor of Victory Baptist Church, 1280 Sierra Vista Street. Appreciate the presentation, Mr. Thompson. That clears a lot up. I know we're not doing dialogue, so I'm just going to ask a question. If you feel that you all want to answer it, that's fine. Is there a cap? Did we decide on a cap of how many businesses would come in? And if we did decide on a cap, Is it so many for retail, so many for cultivation, et cetera? That was, I guess, two questions. Did we set a cap? And that 150,000 doesn't seem like a lot, because I thought that they were supposed to pay like 5,000 a month or 5%. Maybe I got my numbers wrong, whichever was higher. So I was just wondering if we could know a little bit more about the 150,000. Has that really been coming in over the last 6 months, last 9 months, or whatnot? So those are the two questions. Did we put a cap? And really, is that money from just the last 6 to 9 months?
Thank you. Greg, you want to answer that?
Yeah, I was just going to ask if it was appropriate to give a response. So just for your benefit, tonight's information was meant to be informative. We wanted to give you basically an accounting of what the activity has been. As far as a cap is concerned, the community development, which covers both the planning, the building side, and the economic development side, is working with both the city manager's office and the city's attorney's office to potentially revamp the ordinance itself. So things like implementation of caps or limits on certain types of businesses, where they would be located, that may come out in a new ordinance, which has not been fully vetted at this time. But tonight's information was meant to be informative. The second question that you had, I believe, is probably a better question to be asked by the finance director, but I believe the last 6 to 8 months is what you're seeing in that first cycle of those payment of those fees. And they seem to be, at least in the dialogue that we've had with the finance director, pretty sustainable.
Okay, both those questions answered. Anybody else from the public like to come forward on this? Seeing none, we'll close the public comment, bring it back to the council. What's your direction? Cindy, Ms. Vieira.
Also, just to say, the numbers that are up here, was that used in balancing our budget? What was the proposal used in balancing our budget? And I know Kelly's not here right now. We could get that next time.
We can provide it next time, but this was not, I believe we were very conservative. I know last year we didn't balance it based on what might be from the cannabis, and I believe we were as well this year.
Okay, that's what I thought too. And I didn't remember a number. I just think from my memory, we're either close or a little bit over what we had.
I think, if anything, we underestimated what we were getting.
So, but I know that we had talked about this last time, so it seems right now we have 3, but I'm with you. We're constantly approving them, but it seems like getting from the start to the finish, it's not a high success rate. It is a very complicated, a lot of hoops to jump through, but at 3, I think we had voted up front to kind of let the council see how it went and how our public benefit went. And I haven't received any calls of any kind of trouble or problems with this. So far it seems to be doing okay, as long as we don't get out of control with it. But
I think that's what we're seeing, if you don't mind a comment, council member. It's like many other aspects of business. They have a tendency to kind of work themselves through these processes. We have treated every applicant fairly and evenly, and have built a very good rapport with many of the applicants that we're working with right now, just like we do with any other business.
Councilman Ambrose?
Yeah, just had a quick question about the cannabis application. I know you try to fit all the information on the slide, but is there a way that we can get a copy that we can actually read, emailed to us? This way we can actually read what's going on here, because, yeah.
Absolutely. It's available in electronic format. We can email it to if you like.
Thank you very much.
I can't read it.
And that's it.
I didn't realize you were wearing bifocals.
No, man. John, you want to say anything? No. Okay.
Sorry for the interruption. My house alarm went off, and the chief was so sorry for that. Well, she gave me a thumbs up, so we're okay.
I'll be in the pool when you get home.
Yep, somebody jumped in the pool, yeah.
What's your pleasure? Oh, okay, never mind, that's information only. Yeah, I was thinking,
Yeah.
Greg and I had a conversation earlier about that, okay. City manager reports and updates, discussion and possible direction regarding placing measure on the ballot for the general municipal election to be held November 3rd, 2020. City manager Waterman.
Thank you, Mayor and City Council. I'm going to have Janelle put the PowerPoint up. We're just going to stream through it. I'm going to briefly talk about this item. What we're looking for tonight is direction regarding placing a general sales tax or special public safety tax ballot on the measure for the general municipal election to be held in November. On March 5th, 2013, the city of Atwater passed a half-cent sales tax for public safety services in the city, public safety and transaction use tax. This is a half-cent sales tax that is set to expire in June 30, 2023. So you can stream through it. With knowing, I did hear tonight a lot of concern, or some concern, regarding the one-time CARES Act funding for $387,000. This is one-time funding that can be used for specific items. Again, this isn't for our public safety. If you look at our budget that was adopted this year, we have officer positions in here. We have our CAL FIRE contract budgeted in this safety tax measure. But what we're looking at is this tax measure went to the voters in March of this year, and as Measure O, and it was it needed a significant majority of 59.57% votes, and it did not pass. This was a public safety tax. What we're looking at tonight is whether or not City Council would like to put a general purpose sales tax measure on, or a public safety tax measure on the ballot in November. This gives us time to start weaning off of the public safety transaction use tax if the voters decide that that's not the direction they want to go. But by putting a general purpose sales tax on the measure, this gives us a little leeway on what we can do. We can enhance our our fire police protection. We can replace aging police and fire facilities and equipment. We can repair and maintain streets, improve traffic safety, congestion, and provide youth and recreation programs. Not only that, I know that the impacts of the economy to the COVID, this is going to have some impact to the city. We're not going to pretend that it will not. And what we're proposing, or we're looking for direction from council, is whether or not they would like to add a ballot measure to November's election to put a dollar per every $100 spent on taxable non-luxury items that would possibly generate $4 million annually for the general fund, which would enhance our public safety. Again, it's important to identify that the taxable items are food products for human consumption that are not sold in heated condition, no animal plants products, or prescription medicines. I know that that's something that we always hear about, and we want to make sure that our seniors are taken care of, and this isn't going to come out of their needs. So just looking for direction from council tonight.
Okay, I'm gonna open up to public comment at this time. Any members of the public that come forward, speak on this item, come to the podium, state your name, please. Welcome.
Michael Noguera, I live in Atwater. So before the measure came out before in 2013, I already expressed concern because I knew that once government requests money, it asks for more money. And that's basically what's happening again. And I think that government should have to deal with what it already has. I mean, me and my wife, when we create a budget, we don't end up pulling money out of thin air. We deal with, if we go over our budget, we reallocate the money that we have. So basically, this was put on in March and it didn't pass, so they're trying to get it passed a different way where it's only a majority vote. And our founders didn't agree with mob rule. And if you just having a majority deciding stuff, you get mob rule. We're a constitutional republic, representative body. And if we allow this to happen, then later there's going to be another expiration and government's going to ask for more money. And it takes money from my family. I bought a house here. I plan on living in my city. I grew up here. And I don't like the fact that I'm going to be requested to keep paying more and more and more, and it takes money out of my kids' mouths, and that's it.
Thank you. Any other members of the public like to come forward at this time? Seeing none, we'll close public comment. Bring it back to the dais. Vieira?
So when we put this on the ballot before, I was a supporter of it because when Major H retires, if something doesn't happen, we lose our police department, we lose our fire. And I live here too. And I agree with you that I've said it from the beginning, we need to live within our means. But when I first got my job when I was 17 years old, minimum wage was $3.25 an hour. Am I to live within those means? Costs go up for the city. The items we buy every day for the city. What about our officers? Live within their means. They never get a raise? Why do Atwater officers, why do our public works, how come they can't have a raise when all the cities around us do? When the cost goes up at Target and the cost goes up at Walmart, everything that we do and we buy goes up. Do we have to pay for that? Sure we do. But when you go to Save Mart or you go to Food for Less and the grocery goes up, guess what? You got to pay for it. The cost of living raises everywhere, and we have to pay for it. The services that the city gets and provides goes up. We have to pay for it. So if the cost of food goes up, do we no longer buy food? Cost of gas goes up. Do we no longer buy gas? Your police department, the fees go up. We don't want police? Are we going to jump in on the defunding of the police? Do we only want brand new police officers that just graduated from the academy because we can no longer afford a senior officer in our city? Is that who you want to come to protect your children and protect my children? I don't. I don't think that's fair. We had to reach out to CAL FIRE and negotiate our contract with them because we can't afford to continue to give them raises. So our firefighters can't have a raise? It's not fair. The cost of living goes up everywhere, and whether you live in the city of Merced, the city of Atwater, the city of Dos Palos, the city of Los Banos, whatever city you live in, you have to pay the taxes to live there. It's unfortunate, but it's a way of life. It just is what it is. We have to somehow figure out a way, and I've seen the budget, I've stared at the budget for 4 years, we've had budget meetings, and I've yet to have a citizen come here and say, you know what, Councilwoman Vieira, I know how to do this. I know how to continue to see our city flourish without raising taxes. If you know how to do this, I will give you my seat tonight and you can have it. There's no way to do it. You cannot give up your income and support your household. We have to have the income. When Major H is gone, this home, this city has given up their income. We cannot keep our doors open, and that's just the fact. I don't like taxes. No one up here likes taxes. You know, all night tonight I heard about political agenda. What's my political agenda? What am I to gain? I'm a mom. I have a small business, 3 dogs, 6 fish, 2 cats, and 11 grandchildren that live in this city. What's my agenda? I mean, I've been accused of all kinds of agendas. My husband I only came here so Dan could be police chief, and I got that in my eyeball. Well, hey there, Mike. How you doing? How you doing?
I'm good.
All right.
How about yourself?
There's no political agenda. Look at us. Look, we're simple little people up here. We're just simple people trying to do what's right. I read things on the internet. This is what I read on Facebook today. The people that run the city of Atwater are idiots. Idiots have been running the city of Atwater for several years. So I responded and I said, hey, I'm the idiot, and I've never got a phone call, voicemail, text message. I've never seen you at a council meeting. Right now, if you would like to run for a city council seat until August 7th, you just go pull your papers and you do it. And you can become an idiot like me. But at least I'm an idiot up here putting out my voice. I gave it my 4 years. I gave it what I had. And you know what? I feel good about it. I feel darn good about it. You don't want to pay taxes? I don't either. But I want a police department. I want a fire department. I want parks that my kids can play in, and I want roads that my cars can drive on. And if I don't want to pay taxes, I can't have that. It's just that is what it is. So whether we do it as a general tax or we do it as a special tax, however we do it, if we don't do it, we're going to lose, and we're going to lose a lot. That's pretty much all I have to say. And I'll get off my little box.
Councilman Kale?
You know, I have toiled on this all week, and like Cindy said, none of us want to raise taxes. I don't want to raise taxes. I don't want to be standing alone without a police department, without a fire department. We attempted to get the public to put forth the measure, or we put forth the measure, and to get the view of what the public said, and they turned it down by the narrowest of margins. What that bothered me more than any of that was the amount of voters. It was sad. The other part that bothered me about that was the people who talked about not supporting it and not voting that tax in were being persuaded by a past member of this council. And is no longer on the council. And that person couldn't get it done and persuaded everybody not. Now we're in a pickle. In 2022, we're going to lose half a cent. We're going to lose half a cent. When I talked to Gina the other day, $2 million is what we're going to lose. If we lose that, right, where's your next step? It's a rhetorical question. You don't have to answer.
I'd be more than happy to answer,
Yeah.
Councilman Kale.
Well, come up to the podium.
You're not Mike.
Chief, please step up to the podium. This is our police chief, Mike Salvador, and Councilman Kale just asked, where will you be if this doesn't pass?
The current Measure H provides 24.3% of the department's budget. It pays for 9 police officers. It pays for half the fleet. It pays for, I'm on, am I? Yeah, I'm on. Yeah. It pays for half the fleet. It, if you lose that money, we cease to be effective, period. It's 1/3, 24% of the budget, even after this year's cuts. So the loss of 2.1 or $2.2 million, which 1.8 of that comes directly to the police department, is more than we spend to gas up cars, put bullets in officers' guns, send them to training, and support them during the year. And there's no place for me to cut anymore. Period.
Thank you, Chief.
End of story.
And so, and I could ask John the same question back there in the back, but you know, it's okay, John. You guys already taken the cut because of everything. And so that, I know that it's going to be even worse. Even worse in 2022 when we lose that money. I don't want to have to raise taxes. But I don't want to tell somebody, sorry, we can't afford this. We attempted in the last measure to use it only for this. And I felt like we got a shakedown. And I have to also say, it was also our fault too. We didn't get behind it as much as we should have. I've only been on this council 2 years, and I wasn't even voted in. I was appointed by this council to come in. I have been proud and humbled and honored to be on this council. One of the great things that made me come to love this council is that we got together on, I believe it was a Thursday, and sat down and said, we got to figure out what we're going to do in 5 years. And Pastor Miller, you said it earlier tonight when you said, you guys have done a great job. I'm afraid that we're going to set ourselves up for failure. One, maybe because we're getting this tax, or two, because we don't. Either way, I don't know how we're going to win. I don't want to see us raise the tax, but I don't want to lose what we already have. I don't want to lose the momentum that this council has. I don't want to lose the momentum the city has. We got a lot of people up here today. And they all thanked us. I kept going, we just did what was right. So, I don't know, I'm more than willing to hear what Councilmember Raymond and Emery says, and the mayor too. This is an important step for us. So I want to hear what everybody says.
Go ahead, Cindy. Well, I'm gonna let him do his uninterrupted.
Earlier, some people saying that we are ruining the city because we don't take money from the higher government. Where does that money come from? From your tax dollars. So why do you need to trickle it down? Why don't we keep our tax dollars local? There's people who are angry because we won't take the governor's tax dollars when our business are saying, we don't want your handout, we want to work for our money. I had a business owner call me earlier today and she goes, Cindy, my business closed over $600,000 in sales. Didn't the city make money off my sales tax? I said, yes, we did. That's how we generate money. We live off your sales tax. She says, well, if you close my business, where's that money? So when you want me to close my business, not work, not pay sales tax, and take a handout, like welfare? What are we doing here? So people want us to take money from the government to run our city, but that money from the government is your taxes, and you don't want to pay taxes. There's no other way. You pay taxes is how you get stuff. I don't want to pay it either. I have to pay it just like you, but we're not asking for thousands of dollars. This is going to, out of a normal budget, I don't know, half a cent. We're just asking you to keep spending it local where you're spending it. That's it. I don't know.
Councilman Ambrose?
So, City Manager, you can correct me if I'm wrong. Had this been on the general election back in the election that we just had in March, if it was on this current election here in November, this would have passed because it met over the 50% plus one, correct?
Correct.
So to me, that tells me that the residents, they're wanting this. Yeah, we didn't meet the, what was it, two-thirds or?
66%.
66% for a special election. Now we're going towards the general election. If the numbers are true from what we learned back in March, our residents, they want this because they want to feel safe. Whether it's the police out on the streets, whether it's CAL FIRE assisting with any medical issues or actual fires, this is what our residents are wanting. That's what I'm hearing. I'm not going to go on a longer speech. I think Councilwoman Vieira and Councilmember Kell pretty much said it all.
Councilman Raymond? Are you there?
I think everybody pretty well knows where I stand on this. We continue digging into the taxpayer pockets for government ineptitude. I mean, I just don't know where it stops. The last time this was on the ballot, we had some of those who the tax was to benefit working actively against us out of spite. What is this one going to do? I don't know. I don't support it. I don't want to see it on ballot. I don't want, the tax increase, just like in the last item, the assessment district. We keep going up, going up, going up. At what point do the residents get a break?
Thank you. I think everybody's making a complete valid point. Tonight, you guys saw firsthand how money gets transferred in California back to the people that paid the taxes. Not very well. The comment made tonight by a speaker about when does it stop? I can tell you in California, probably never. I guarantee you that. Other parts of the country, it has stopped. They do live within their means. But when you have 24% increases imposed on you by non-elected officials in the state of California for services that are provided to us, not by our hand, but the cost of workers' comp, the cost of employee benefits, we as citizens don't get a say in that. Our voice is not being heard in Sacramento. We sit there, we send our money off every transaction we do, every time we write our property taxes, and we keep doing what we've been doing and what we talked about tonight, sitting on the couch, hoping it's going to get better, while you watch Georgia, Texas, Kansas, Montana, Wyoming, all thriving. Not because they're raising their taxes, is because they only provide the services that a government's supposed to provide. Provide safety for its people first and foremost, and then health and welfare. It doesn't guarantee everybody a free bus ticket to go back and forth to Yosemite or go shopping or whatever. It doesn't tell you you get an EBT card for laying down and not doing anything while you ride that bus to go spend that EBT card and then get on Facebook and complain about everybody because you want more. We're paying for that. These people are paying for that. So where does it stop in California? It won't. It's not going to. And we'd be fools to think that we can cut 25% out of this little city budget that we have. I'm not for taxes whatsoever, but I do know how we've just been treated by the governor, how we've always been treated. We put enough gas tax money into the coffer to fix every road in this town twice. But you know what we do? The governor gets elected and says, well, health care and homeless is road money. How do you come to that nexus? Where'd that monkey fall out of the tree? It's just not realistic. So when you're dealing with unrealistic people, this clan here of Atwater has to raise its own money and spend its own money. And this is local money kept local for local programs. We're not going to get rid of the police department. We're definitely not going to get rid of the fire department. We need to call 911. We want service right here, right now. And we've got accustomed to that. We're at a half-cent sales tax now. We're asking to retain that and maybe go to another half-cent for a full 1%, which is several $1 million. That's not little bits of money. It's a lot of money that you guys are generating out of your pockets to make your community safe, to make your community a desirable place to live, so other like-minded people like you guys live here. I don't know what to tell you about wishing that we didn't have to spend any more tax dollars, because I'll tell you, places like Georgia and everywhere else, they're way more competitive than we are. But are we going to live in filth and misery to prove a point? I don't know if I'm willing to do that. I think that I deserve better, and I know I'm an adult, and I know what to expect. Past performance is future behavior. Tonight was a great example, and the citizens don't want to put up with it anymore. So if we're going to keep our police in fire, and we're going to execute things that were on the grand jury report for the last 12 years, we have a police cell over there, if you get locked up, 1964. Meets no standards, but we're grandfathered in. So we're getting away with something, but if we were to upgrade, that would cost us millions of dollars. This dilapidated building you guys are in, the cottage cheese on the ceiling falls down, we vacuum it up before the council meetings. You guys own this building, this is your town, this is your direction. If I vote yes on this tonight, I'm not voting for the tax. I'm voting to spend the money, to put it before you again and educate you better, because I don't think we educated. This city did a poor job educating you on what we were asking for, and it was for police and fire only, public safety, which required 66%. If we cannot educate you or not educate you, but if we can't convince you, then you are the parents, you control the purse strings, you vote no. But we're asking for direction to put it out there before you, make our case, have the police chief, the fire chief take you to those facilities, show you where you may be spent on, but this one is a general election. Make no mistake, you don't need 2/3. But I guarantee you, for sitting here, that I want recreation funded. I want police funded, and I want fire funded. I don't want to start building the staffing at City Hall. I want to see our youth playing games. I want to see the parks mowed. I want to see beautiful things come into this town if we're going to entertain this. So I'm going to bring it back to the council for your direction.
Mayor, can I make one last?
Mayor, if I may.
Oh, sorry.
Councilman Raymond?
That's perfect, because this city manager, I think this partially goes to you. I think the problem with this tax, general sales tax, is you lose the direction, right? With the public safety tax, you know the money is only going to public safety. For a general sales tax, we don't know necessarily where all that money is going to be going to. And I think now you're going to have to change the minds of voters, that they're going to be concerned that it's going to be more misappropriation of funds.
Well,
So
can I interject?
what's the plan? I mean, what are we looking to spend it on? I just heard the mayor talk about parks, which would be great. You know, public safety is great. We need that. But what's the chance it ends up with more bloated bureaucracy and nothing but raises? You know, that's something no one wants to see.
No, well said, Councilman Raymond. You're right. And I'm not about to sign off on, and that's a great point you brought up, that if we vote to put this on the ballot, you or I or anyone up here can make a motion to also attach to that a expenditure plan in stone that will give the voters the knowledge and the guarantee that dollars going X, Y, and Z, I don't know how that would be made up, but I wouldn't expect this to pass without pure direction on what we're going to do with this. Because like you said, I don't want it to go shotgun across the wall and everybody gets a pay raise and we have nothing left over. Is that what you're talking about?
Yeah, I think the monies almost have to be bonded for, you know, where they're going to go. Because, like I said, the worst thing we want is to watch the beast grow, and the government is the beast. And with the beast growing is increased pay, pensions, and all that, instead of going where it needs to go. You know, we need more bodies on the street for public safety. You know, we need the cops taken care of. The last thing we need is top-down huge raises. You know, my concern with this is, well, now we have a 1 cent tax to play with, so we're just gonna, you know, put these new numbers in next year's budget. Not what I want to see, not where I want it to go. And I mean, granted, I don't support taxes anyways, but this just makes it harder to get behind.
Well said, Councilman Raymond. I don't think I can say it any better, and I wholeheartedly agree with you on that. We're going to do Vieira and then Kale next again. Councilman Vieira.
Brian, I agree with you that this money definitely needs to be allocated in advance. I think that to protect the police department, the fire, we also have so many citizens concerned with our parks and with our recreation. So I don't know that those numbers are something we can just come up with tonight. But I think that before, you know, we make a final decision, that we need to put that language together. I think the citizens would be more apt to be ready to pay a half of a cent if they knew the parks were going to not remain looking the way they look, and that we had a solid police department, a solid fire department, and then a solid recreation department. So we can maintain what we have and increase those services, because we continue to get complaints about our parks. And it's been a long time since the parks in this city have been top notch.
I agree. I'm going to jump in, then I'm going to go to Kale real quick. The comments made at the podium tonight resonated, and it just hit me that if we're asking to do this additional half cent or keep the half cent and add the half cent, which equals 1 cent, not to fool anybody, you as a customer, you as the owners of the city, don't pay extra for a pizza at the local pizza joint every time they want to raise it. But if they charge a little bit extra because they just did a remodel and that's a really nice place to go all the time, and you enjoy spending time there because they invest back into their business and the community, then this tax needs to be specified, like we're saying tonight, a portion and a finite amount documented on the ballot so the voters know how much would go to what we want it to go to, so we don't play trickery or anything like that on them. So if we want a certain percentage for public safety and fire and a certain percentage for recreation, I think we can do that.
Just, if I may just clarify a little bit, the concept of this is an expenditure plan under general tax scheme, and basically the council can set, as part of the measure, an expenditure plan that would be set by legislative action of the city after the ordinance would be passed. But the measure itself would include provision and also the language and the mechanics for how the city council will be able to develop an expenditure plan. So that would be definitely part of the measure, and then in subsequent action the council would make to allocate the monies accordingly to that plan.
And
Thank
Mayor,
you, City Attorney.
Mayor and City Council, that's similar to what we do now for the Measure H, the public safety and transaction use. We do have an expenditure plan that is adopted with the budget every year, and it clearly is transparent to show what is being funded out of that tax measure. I think it's important, just one statement if I may, that this City Council and administration have proven fiscally responsible by eliminating the deficit that we started with. We have proven that we do take the finances of the city seriously, and that we are budgeting balancing our budget and living within our means. However, as you mentioned, sometimes we have no control of the increases that we have no control.
Right, Kale?
Well, and so we can make those decisions after if it's passed, we can make those decisions afterwards?
Yes, so in order to get the tax measure on the ballot, you have to do a few things. You have to place a resolution that says we are going to tax at this rate, and we're going to put the ballot question before the electorate. They're going to vote on it, and the measure text will be available at the city, and also as part of the package that the voters will vote on. The measure text is essentially the ordinance that the city will have in its municipal code. There will be a section there that will describe the expenditure plan, the structure of it, how it's voted on, how it's approved, and then subsequent to the approval of that measure, on top of that, overlaying that would be the actual expenditure plan that the council would then pass after the tax measure is approved.
And how about like an oversight committee with that? How would that also be afterwards? That it would be, because you know what? Who knows what's going to happen afterwards? After we all live here. You know, I'm not a young guy. I look it, but I'm not a young guy. And what's going to happen after I'm gone if I agree to this, and if we have an oversight? Perhaps you wouldn't mind being on the oversight and say, you know what? Let them spend it this way, or this is what they should be spending it this way. Is that possible too?
Yeah, it certainly is. Oversight committees do appear sometimes with general taxes. Those bodies are advisory only, so the council would still have the final say, but certainly that would be part of the measure itself, would be provision for an oversight committee and what that looks like.
Thank you.
Well, even though they're only there to make suggestions, it keeps everything very transparent to the public, and there's another layer of security that the funds are being managed correctly when you have a watchdog watching those funds. And I'm sure that, most watchdogs are, loud. I don't know what word I want.
Okay,
They
Council,
tattletale.
what's your pleasure? Raymond, do you have any more comments?
Mr. City Attorney, my question for you. If we do put in place an expenditure plan, would that then make it a 2/3 majority required if you have an expenditure plan in place, or would these be like a recommended guideline? How do we do that so then you Because now you're talking like a special tax again, only going to certain things.
Yeah.
So just for clerical matters, to get some confirmation on how all that works, because now we're, trading back into the waters of special tax.
Yes, that's why its expenditure plan would be different than a special tax, because the council would be putting the expenditure plan into place after the voters approve it. And so it's discretionary at the time that the voters approve it. The council would then be able to come up with an expenditure plan to allocate it accordingly. That would not just be guidance, it would be the force and effect of a legislative action, ideally in the form of a resolution. And there would be some that would be subject to change on occasion by the council. So that's what makes it a general. That's what makes it a general tax. It still is discretionary.
So would that be in perpetuity of the tax, or would that be year by year? So say you get a new council in that just wants to see bureaucracy grow and take back over. Would they then have the authority to just continue to do what they want with the money, instead of sending it to where this council or whoever is on at that point decides for the expenditure plan?
Yeah, the expenditure plan could be subject to change through a majority of the council in a subsequent action. That's why it is still a general tax, and that's why it would require a simple majority of the voters and not the special tax, 66 2/3.
Correct, but if the council decides, we just want to give everybody raises, say we put our expenditure plan in place, and it's going the way we like it. It's putting bodies on the street, it's taking care of just certain, necessary things. Will another council, just based on a simple majority vote, be able to say, you know what, we're going to change directions and spend that money how we like over here?
Yeah, I mean, that's essentially how it would work. It's subject to change. It's a legislative resolution that would be subject to change.
Okay, thank you.
Was that it, Brian?
Yes, that's it.
Thank you. Council, what's your pleasure?
What is our timeline, and is this decision that has to be made tonight?
So I think for it to go to the county, Gina, do you have that date of when it has to be go to the county?
The date is July 25th through the last date, which is August 7th.
August 7th. So tonight's action would be just direction from the council to place a ballot measure with the direction specifying what kind of ballot measure the council's looking for, to have a special meeting to consider and place that on the ballot. That special meeting would have to occur between now and August 7th. Preferably August 6th at the latest, to give staff time to turn it around, I'd imagine.
Okay, thank you.
It's tough because, Councilman Raymond made a lot of good points. If we're looking at going through this and asking the citizens for tax, we want to make sure, to the best of our abilities and our moralities, that we use that to the best benefit of the citizens, which, in my opinion, then again, this is my opinion, not necessarily the citizens' opinion, that would be for police, fire, parks, and recreation, and public works, and it's hard to split it out. But to allocate a certain percentage, but then it becomes a special tax. So if we say 50% goes to public safety, and 30% goes to public works, and 20% goes here, then now we're back to a special tax, even if we allocate it like that. That is correct.
Right, so you just keep it general, and then after it passes, you have to be honest with them that it's general, that maybe they don't like what we're doing in 3 years from now. Like Councilman Raymond said, there'll be a new group, and that does keep them from keeping their hands tied to go a different direction. It leaves the direction in the people's hands, but I think with what you've done and what we've done as a council, they're going to have a splash pad to look at. Our police chief has been able to get grants and look under every single chair cushion for $1, and we've been able to do a lot. We're pretty good with what money you guys give us. And if we give you guys the opportunity to vote it up or down, and say it goes, then you guys have another opportunity, what the council's saying here, to come in and dictate what those funds are for after it passes. Unfortunately, we can't do it before because it's general. So I think some great things could happen.
And if I may just also expand on, the general tax can only be voted on in November of the even numbered years. So if the council elects not to place it on the ballot now, which the council has that discretion, it couldn't go, if I'm correct, until November of 2022. And Measure H, just in the interest of council realizing all the deadlines and everything, Measure H sunsets end of 2022 or early 2023. So the ability for the city to financially plan 27, 28, 29 months out is much better if Measure H is not going to get renewed in one form or fashion. It's better for the city to know now than later. What the will of the people are, knowing the will of the people now is better. And in March, that was a special tax. Here, it's a general tax. The numbers that the city had in March were 59-something%, which would have passed if it were general tax. So it's really just an opportunity to take a good, clear look, if nothing else. I just want the council to know, the timing here is also a factor under the law.
And we're not passing the tax tonight. You're voting whether to put it to them to let them decide because it's their city.
Yeah, I was going to say the same thing. Well, before I said that, I was going to say, isn't that what we're doing every day, is making those decisions when we do our budget every year? We're doing the exact same thing, and we just all have to pray that after I lose all my looks and not around anymore, that they're going to do the right thing for the citizens. And you know what? I'm okay right now with letting the citizens tell us if it's okay with them. I'm okay with that. After talking it out with you guys, I'm good.
Was that a motion?
I'll make that motion. I have to, because you know what? We're sitting here, me and the chief and Lori are all Google-eyeing each other because my alarm went off at my house and my wife's here, and I'm like, do I have to leave? And she's not answering my phones. And those cops are there, and she goes, we're okay. They just left. They just left. So I'm able to sit here and go, okay, because we have that. So I'll make that motion that we go ahead and let me read it. Price staff with direction on general sales tax special public sales tax measure on the ballot for November.
Just to be clear, it's a general tax measure that the council?
Yeah.
Okay. And consistent with staff's recommendation at 1 cent?
Yes.
Okay.
I'll second.
Motion by Kale, second by Ambrose.
Viera,
Yes.
Kale,
Yes.
Ambrose,
Yes.
Raymond,
No.
Creighton.
Yes.
Motion passes.
Comments from the public. Any members of the public like to come forward at this time, please come to the podium if you haven't done it yet tonight. I've lost track of all you guys going to the podium for everything. That's good though. How do we do tonight? We do okay? All right. Maybe we'll get a C+ for tonight. So seeing no members of the public, we'll close the public comment, bring it back to the council for some 6-7 page reports from each one of you guys. Councilman Kale?
Well, I want to thank everybody who showed up tonight and gave us kudos and supported us, and we only listened to what you said and voted on what you guys told us. So I want to thank everybody for showing up. It was awesome to see trucks out there and tractors out there because, let's face it, that is a lot of what Atwater is. We don't have any more airplanes flying over. We might as well have a tractor. I'd like to also say that after this meeting's over, I think I'm going to head over to Almond Tree and have a glass of wine and a salad. Oh, wait. The governor said I can't do that. And then he also told me I can't go to church and sing. I'm sorry, I'm going to do it anyway, okay? And then I want to leave with one of the police officers that is under my control put something on Facebook, and I read it after being worried about today and hearing this all the time. He wrote something, and he had something on Facebook, and I modified it to this statement. I would rather die standing on my feet than the fear of individuals while I'm on my knees. That's all I have.
Well said. Yeah?
You keep putting me in front of poor Dan this evening, and
He's always like
so
a
patient.
thinker. I want him to hear all you guys that he can like be a deep thinker.
So I try to take into consideration the governor's position, and I know that so many times people look at me and think my decision isn't good. But Governor Newsom, when you told me I can't go to church and praise the Lord with my voice, you lost me there. And I think a lot of Americans you did. So I'm going to go and I'm going to sing unto the Lord where and when I want, and as loud as I want, when I want. You can't take that away. Okay, and then I'm going to get really excited. Let's talk about the splash pad, because that's my woohoo, Veterans Park. And if you go by and you see the cement, and I'm very excited, and it's taken 4 years. And I just want to set a couple things straight, and I know I've said this 15 times, but I'm going to say it again. The splash pad is being paid by money that can only be paid for park improvement. You can't take that money and say, Cindy, we didn't need a splash pad, let's buy police cars. You can't do it. That money can only be used to improve parks. And it has sat there and not improved the parks for year after year after year. And so when I got here 4 years ago, one of the things I said is, splash pad, and that came from my son Mike, who said, hey Mom, you guys, we should get a splash pad, because they have splash pads in these other cities. So it actually came from my son Mike. So yeah, it's really exciting. And driving by, I know I get a lot of text messages and phone calls, and it's a gift back to our community for money they spent on redevelopment funds. And so contrary to another Facebook post, and I'm going to stay off Facebook this week, you can't take money that has been designated for something and voted on and appropriated and buy police cars with it or pay down the general funds. It's illegal. The only thing that money can be used for is to improve parks, which is exactly what this council did. We used it in its legal manner and gave it back to the citizens that paid it. So very, very shortly, you'll be able to take your kids over there in the 113-degree weather outside. So it should be legal because it's outside, and they'll be able to play and enjoy themselves and enjoy their summertime. That's it. I'm off my box.
Thank you. Ambries?
Thought you were going to have Councilman Raymond go before me.
He'd accuse me of being mad at him.
Oh, okay. All right, well.
No, I won't.
First off, I want to thank everyone who did come in person today, as well as those who sent their comments via email, regardless of what side you stand on. I definitely enjoyed reading through some of those, hearing them, even though, again, we may not always see eye to eye. I like that you are voicing your opinions. Like everyone else, I'm trying to stay off of Facebook. I did get a message tonight, though, regarding some of the comments of what was being said and that how we were silencing our residents. That's not true. And that resident came up to me, and we got this corrected. Just to set the record straight, when this person put a comment card in to speak, they also sent an email. That email was read out loud. According to our rules, you only have 3 minutes to do your public comments, and that email was read first, and that's why that person did not get the opportunity to speak at our first public comments section. However, you know, we want to hear your guys' thoughts and opinions, and we made it right. We let that person speak again during our second public comment. So again, we are not trying to silence our residents. We want to hear you, hear what you have to say. So please don't spread, false information that we're trying to silence you guys when we're not. God, and I don't want to turn this into a pissy match either, but I personally want to invite our governor down to Atwater. I don't know when the last time he was here.
Never.
I am not doing this because I want a political battle with him. I'm inviting him down here so he can see how COVID is affecting our community, what our business owners are dealing with. Hell, work with us so we can help our residents. That's all I'm going to say for tonight. Good night, everyone.
Well said. Councilman Raymond?
Yeah, I don't have much. I just, I apologize for having to leave early. I'm dealing with some health issues that make it uncomfortable to be in certain positions, but I wanted to be there for the beginning of the meeting and, left when I had to. But I'm still here participating via Zoom. Appreciate everybody that came out, both in support and in opposition of the Sanctuary City resolution that was passed previously. That's the beautiful thing about our democratic republic, is that we allow both sides to speak. So anytime we have civic engagement, it's a beautiful thing. So that's all, Mayor.
Thank you, Councilman Raymond. We've got another 10 pages here, but I'll keep it short. Thank you, everybody that came out, both positive and negative comments. Your voice was heard. This is America. We're not going to lose sight of that. Thank you for your comments about potentially the tax measure to do or not to do. We really just put it back in your hands. You authorized us to write a check to put it on the measure. We got to figure out how to do it right and deliver it back to you guys. We're going to keep living with what we have, try to make the best of what we have, and show you guys that we're responsible for what we're doing. With that being said, Councilwoman Vieira said the splash pad, your money we spent in your city to provide better community for recreation activities for the youth and people of this community to see something nice, be able to go sit in the park and watch kids play in the water and see families picnic and have a good time. That's quality of life issue. Just like tonight, Councilman Kale's house alarm went off. He couldn't reach his wife, and the alarm company called the police department, and they were able to respond in moments. That's the community that I live in. I don't want to lose that. So hopefully we can figure a solution for our financial issues in our house here shortly. The turnout tonight was overwhelming, very humbling. It reminded me tonight why I ran to be on the city council, to make a change. It also reminded me that we are not in charge of the city up here. We are your representatives, and you people are in charge of us. And we did what's very rarely done around the state of California, if ever. We listen to our constituents. And you hold us accountable, we're performing. So thank you for being a good boss, and we will keep working hard for you as long as we're up here. Also, we just completed a major section of Winton Way from the post office to the Save Mart Shopping Center. Most of you complained to me before I ever got on the council how bad the road was. The previous council complained about it. The damage caused to the residents' cars, and the tires that were popped, and the rims that were cracked, and the shocks that were lost. Heck, I even seen a muffler fall off a car one time. So your quality of life and your investment you put in our hands, we put back for a quality road for you. We did the entire segment, and that's what it's about. We're going to continue to do that. So thank you for that, and that's all I got to say. So have a great night.